This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Evening, and as the UK begins to open up, we are about to open up some serious packs tonight with some big breakers in the Ultimate Pool Masters. Wasn't the best pun, but we'll improve as we go along, I promise. Simon, great to see you once again. We're excited for this one, week 2, and it really started off brilliantly last week with the box office performance from Jon Shepard, and the lineups just continue to get bigger and better as we move through this competition.
Yeah, it's going to be a theme of the whole competition. It's such a deep field. You know, we've got great players everywhere, but we've got a guy coming in tonight who's hot in form. He won the last event in Chris Melling, but we've also got 3 big challengers who are going to be pushing him hard tonight.
Yeah, 4 fantastic players with us tonight. If you're unsure what the Ultimate Pool Masters is or what the format is for this competition, take a look at this. This is everything you need to know. The Ultimate Pool Masters brings together the best players around and puts them to the ultimate test. 64 players start with 16 groups of 4. Each night, 4 players will be featured with 2 semi-finals and a final, with 1 player advancing through the group into the next stage. Once we're through to the last 16, we'll have 4 more 4-to-1 format nights, leaving us ultimately with our final 4. Then, on finals night, we have 2 semi-finals and our grand final to crown the winner. The matches themselves are set to a 50-minute match clock. It's a race to 8 frames or 0 on the clock, whichever comes first. A 45-second shot clock is in operation, with the final 10 minutes introducing a 15-second shot clock, where only the quick thinking will survive. If a match is tied as the clock runs out, a 6-red shootout will decide the winner. We're playing international 8-ball rules, so a foul introduces cue ball in hand for your opponent, but the basic premise remains the same. Pick a colour set, pot your balls, then pot the 8-ball. There's £20,000 in the prize pot, and at the end of it all, the winner will pocket 10 grand, a worthy prize for a marathon event. Welcome to the Ultimate Pool Masters. Well, that should be everything you need to know about this competition. We saw our first week of it last week, Simon. As I mentioned, box office performance from Jon Shepard to book his place into the last 16. It's a format that I personally quite like. It allows the best players a little bit more time to really showcase what they can do. And when you got someone like Jon Shepard, last week was vintage.
It really was. It was so good to see Jordan back to his best. It was one of the best performances I've seen from him in quite a long time. And yeah, I think this format allows players to get into these matches a little bit more. They are longer matches. They've got a little bit more time to think if they've got a problem to work out or to work out their pattern, and that means that we're going to see the standard of pool, I think, in this event ramp up, if you can believe that.
Well, I will try my best to. We've got a box office lineup for you tonight with the current world champion, a 2-time previous world champion as well. It all opens up with Jon McAllister versus Dylan Leary. Let's take a look at this. Well, what an opening match set in store for us. The current reigning, defending world champion in Jon McAllister won the title about 13, 14 months ago now, just before lockdown, on the IPA Black Ball World title. And what a win that was for him, a win that has been predicted by some for a couple of years. He's been one of the standout players in the world of pool for a long time. And when you see him break like that, it's very easy to see why. He's such a powerful player off the break, gives himself so many chances, and we've said this a lot of times over the years now, Simon, that to win a world title you often have to just break a dream for about 3-4 days. It'll stand you in pretty good stead.
Yeah, it's a huge part of the game, being able to break well and give yourself more opportunities. The player that gets more opportunities after the break, once you reach the elite level of the game, is going to have more chance to win them. But it isn't the only part of the game, and Jon is so good at his all-round game, and he works out the patterns and the routes. It's what took him all the way through to that world title we saw here on Free Sports. It's a decent first opportunity, but he had to play that cannon to develop the only real bad ball he had, and coming in at that ball from that angle, it wasn't always going to work out well for him. And he has snookered himself.
It's about as unlucky an opening gambit you could possibly play, really. He's played the cannon beautifully, but to get the white stuck there is unfortunate.
I think if we're being picky, he was probably playing the cannon into the red rather than the yellow, but it's still really unfortunate to leave himself absolutely nothing. He went into that with quite a bit of pace.
It's a pretty good shot, that, from Jon McAllister. I think Dylan still has a good chance to be aggressive here. He's got the ball to the left middle on reds. He has his own problems, though. The two reds at the top of the table need a little bit of figuring out. But this is a player who's twice the age of Jon McAllister, despite his sprightly manner around the table. Dylan Leary has been doing it for an awful long time now, and a super talent.
Been doing it very well for an awful long time. Still winning big titles. Those two reds at the top of the table, as you mentioned, they are the problem. But the question is, if he can pot one of them, and he's had a good look to see whether he can pot either of them, it will open up the other one. It require a decent cannon and a controlled cannon to be able to do so. But I think there may just be enough room to pot the one to the top left.
We saw Dylan Leary in the Champions League in our last tournament here on Free Sports, and he was given a hellish draw, to put it mildly. In the group of death he went, and a very, very difficult group to get out of. The likes, I think Michael Hill was in there, Declan Brennan as well. It was just an absolute nightmare of a draw. But what we saw from him that night told us that he'd not been playing too much for obvious reasons, but he's got himself a decent mojo, and his man around the table suits this format. He's a pretty steady player, doesn't play too quickly or too slowly, but he sees patterns really quickly. I feel his experience comes a long way in that sense.
Yeah, I had a quick chat with him earlier about the previous performance where it didn't go his way, but it was the group of death, and I think the one big thing he wants to change from that performance to tonight, as he makes the pot and develops the ball, hasn't quite landed, but he still has a chance here. Going back to what he was talking about is that break. He needs that break to be on. He was really disappointed with how poor his break was when he last played here on Free Sports. So if he wants to put that right to give himself more opportunities at the table. Can't get close to the right at the top of the table, but leaves himself on it in such a way that all he has to do is drop this in.
Yeah, back him from here, wouldn't you? I think we saw this last week with a couple of our players utilising the extra time on the shot, the longer shot clock, you know, fairly well, going quite deep into it. But Dylan's, as I mentioned, he's not far from the speed he's played, but he's pretty steady, and he's not going to utilise it almost unnecessarily. He's not going to overly check his angles. If he's feeling comfortable, he'll go for it.
Yeah, I think that can help some players as well. Some players can overthink it and almost talk themselves out of it. When you get to a shot clock situation, it's sometimes you see your shot and you just back yourself to make it. And he's worked these out really nicely.
It's been a really, really good start, this, hasn't it, from Dylan? This for 1-0. Never in doubt. A superb counter clearance from lethal Leary.
Very impressive start from Dylan, stepping in after that. Slightly unfortunate, we'll say, cannon not going right for Jon, but you've still got to step in and punish it when that happens, and he managed to do that.
A sneak peek at one of our players a little bit later on, but here is Dylan Leary, 52-year-old, lives in High Wycombe, very much considers himself an Irishman. You can see there, All-Ireland champion, has got a tremendous track record of
Frame
late
number
as
2.
well.
Dylan Leary to break, leading
2019
1 frame.
European champion in the world rules form of the game, as well as the their Premier League champion 2018 as well, which was some going. Top player, make no mistake about it. And it's a pretty tough draw for both of these players right off the rip in this tournament. They'd both had a look at this draw when it was announced and thought, oh, that could have been a lot easier.
I think there's quite a few people that could be saying that, Mike. I do agree.
Well, there was no seeding, was there? It was a totally open draw, so it really did open us up for some real box office matches. And we saw one last week, didn't we? Jordan Shepherd, Clint Jansen, both of those will be thinking, oh, come on. Probably top 10 in the competition, but they drew each other first round. Jon McAllister and Dylan Leary may well be thinking the same thing. A dry break from Dylan sees Jon at the table and a chance for him to counter clear and to do to Dylan what he just had done to him. He's not going to have a chance first go, though.
Yeah, and Dylan, I mentioned Dylan's break. He was disappointed with how he broke a few weeks ago when he played in the Champions League, and his first break tonight is not a good sign for him. I don't think he caught the break particularly well. It almost looked like he was a bit tentative on the break. I know he was going for the cut break, and sometimes you can overhit the cut break, and he was almost trying to be a little bit too careful there. It'd be interesting to keep an eye on his break and see whether he decides to chop and change and go for something different.
Red balls
If he does get it going, he's looked brilliant in open table, hasn't he?
He has, and I was just looking through this. That Jon leaving that red on actually has given Dylan a good opportunity here. There's one red that's awkward. The rest all have a pocket. That one red to nearest the left centre pocket, it looks easy on our screens, but actually that's a delicate shot into the centre pocket. But if he can land right behind it, he's got other balls in position that all he has to do is drop it in. He might even do it now. He's going to take the other one in the triangle area first. He can now take the one to the bottom right corner and get right behind this one into the centre pocket. Only slight issue we have if he goes for the route, goes for a clearance this way round, the ones at the bottom first, is where's the 8 ball going, but he's actually going to go up the table first, so maybe that's what he's thinking. The 8 ball might go to the bottom left-hand corner. It looks a little bit tight, but the way he's playing this, I think he might be thinking about the red just above it is his last ball. So depending on the angle he has on that, he might even be able to play the 8 ball into the same pocket as the red.
Oh, hello. He's got a little bit lucky there. I think he's okay still for this clearance. Doesn't have the angle he wanted now, I don't think, on the red at the bottom of the table, but he should be able to hold it in good position.
Very fortunate to get that knuckle. Not only did he get the knuckle, he left himself an angle on that ball where he could drift right behind the ball that he needed to. So fortunate little nudge there for Dylan, because he got that positional shot all wrong.
That's going to be a quick start. Jon McAllister has barely played a shot in this match so far, and he's going to find himself 2-0 down pretty quickly. Nicely done from Dylan Leary, who goes 2-zip to the good. We've played less than 5 minutes, and Lethal Leary is rolling. Here is Jon McAllister. He is the reigning defending world champion. He's got a great record as well. 2-time Open event winner and a professional event winner as well the year before in 2018, I believe. 7-4 odds to qualify, which are pretty good considering the standard tonight. He's heavily backed. He's a big favourite with many. And a rest smile from the big man as well for his picture as well. Nice to see. He's in pretty good form actually, Jon McAllister. Speaking to him earlier, he's looking forward to this one.
He won't have played much over the last year or so, as many haven't, but he's been particularly quiet, so we didn't see him in the last event, but he's certainly, his break has turned up in these first 2 tries.
Yeah, goodness me, he breaks well, doesn't he? And it's such a natural break. You can see there's you're in a good position to comment on this, Simon, but sort of technically, you look at the way his stance is and the way he sort of approaches the break. Fundamentally, there's not a lot actually right with it. You'd sort of analyse it from that perspective and go, he could change this, move this, but you can't argue with the results. He's got it absolutely perfect. The flow, the timing, the connection, it's all spot on. Yeah, his timing is absolutely fantastic. I actually really like the way he goes about it technically as well, but I kind of know what you mean. That it's unorthodox is what I mean. Yeah, if you were going by the textbook, I think maybe you wouldn't quite do it that way, but I think one of the things I love about sport in general actually is there's so many different ways of doing it, and I think there are times we could just throw the textbook out and you see how well people can play without, going by what we would consider the textbook. We have seen his shiny shoes on Free Sports in recent months. He was part of the Super Series back in Lockdown 1. Remember that? Yeah, it feels a while ago, doesn't it? Hair was a touch shorter back then. Yeah. Absolutely furious I was to find out the hairdressers would reopen today of all days. Oh, I'm doing pole. Desperate for it, I am. We'll get there eventually, ladies and gents. Yeah, it's been a problem for many of us, that's for sure. Jon looking smooth here, and he's got a good angle to get into his problem area. Wondered if he'd try and cannon into that, but it didn't seem to be a consideration. Backs himself to play on it. As we look at those sparkly shoes from Jon, you have to play good ball if you're going to wear those, that's for sure. I couldn't get away with that. Yeah, it's almost like the old five-a-side adage, isn't it? If you set up wearing white boots back in the day, you got to be good. Yeah, for sure. Wait till you see the young man up against Chris Melling. He's got himself a pair of shiny shoes too. See the boys putting some personality into their performances, and just look at the way that he set this up. It looked really tight to me, but he's clearly happy with that red and yellow. Doesn't feel the need to go into it. The only thing I'll say is he wants to make sure that he leaves his positional play onto this next shot, the one into the middle, if that's what he's going to leave as his last ball. It needs to be very precise to be able to get nice position on the 8-ball. Doesn't want to leave himself short and the cue ball go into the yellow. In fact, I think he's going to take the red in the middle first because of it. Yeah, you can see there it's actually fairly easy. These cameras do play some real tricks on your mind. They do at times, but he's not left himself the nicest shot. It looks so simple, right over the pocket, 8-ball in the middle of the table, but you have to judge this next shot really well. It's not easy when the ball is right in the pocket to get perfect position. Easy go wrong here. Thought we'd see a nice deep screw. It's a beautifully responsive table, this, and you can see he's screwed halfway up the table there, and it's almost a lazy shot. It's a lovely cue action to watch when it's on song, Jon McAllister's. It just makes it look so effortless, but does cue the ball beautifully. He's on the boards, 2-1. And the big man is back in it. Massive visit to the table, that for Jon McAllister was... Okay, it's a race to 8, so there's no real pressure or no massive or immediate pressure on, but he wants to get up and running and get himself going, and he's done that with a big break and an excellent clearance as well. So we now know that he is in good form. He just didn't work out for him in his first opportunity. Yeah, he played a couple of almost tentative safety shots, which isn't really his game, and didn't particularly execute them very well, but since that he's been well, that clearance there was excellent, really assured.
Frame number 4.
He works the clearances out so well. He gives anything away as well with the way he looks around the table. You wouldn't know if he's in trouble or not. Doing quite a long way back up the table here for his break. That's a better hit. 8-ball was tracking towards that middle pocket. It's a lovely split, this, for Leary. This is a lovely split. catches this break so much better than his first one. He just pinged open. Such lovely timing on that break. He'd love to respond to that break and dish from Jon with one of his own, and he's got a decent opportunity to do so. I suspect he's looking at this layout and he expects himself to clear up from here. No real problems to solve, just has to pick a good route, and we saw with his counter clearance a couple of frames ago, he managed to pick an excellent route to make a clearance look simple. Kind of see what he's thinking here. He wants to clear those two at the top of the table, and if he can land somewhere in the center of the table, he'll have the yellow to the bottom left. If he's straight-ish on that ball there, then it's just roll in, and then two more roll-ins for the yellow over the right center and the 8 ball as well.
Yeah, it's one of those lies where it's really open. It's just about that pattern picking, isn't it? Because if it's done right and if the cue ball is kept under control, this is such a simple clearance, but actually that's the hard bit, is getting the cue ball under control. If he does it well, he won't actually have to play a difficult shot in this clearance, in terms of the pot at least.
Slightly off angle on this ball, but there's so much margin of error to get on the line that he needs. Okay, he didn't want the contact on the red. He wanted to just slide by that and come a few inches further down the table, but I think he's just about straight enough on this yellow to the bottom left corner. Well, actually, when we look from this camera, he's got too much angle. He wants to just drop this in for the yellow in the opposite corner pocket, and I don't think he can do that now. He now probably needs to come on and off the cushion. Well, he's used the red, and that's fine.
Yeah, really nicely done. Really nicely done. This has been a super standard so far. Really has opened up well. Both players look in real good nick. Don't think we'll see many misses tonight on this evidence.
That was an excellent shot. Could easily have gone wrong. He had a bit more angle on that ball than I actually thought he had, and had to really get into it nicely just to control the cue ball, and a simple job of potting the final 2 balls.
Oh, don't go anywhere on this one, ladies and gents. This one could go down to the wire. Both players are playing lights out at the moment. 3-1 to Dylan Leary.
When your opponent drops in the first breaking dish of the night, best thing you can do is to respond, restore that 2-frame lead, and Dylan has done that beautifully, though I suspect Jon will have been sat there from the break, as I was, and looked at the layout and thought, okay, I expect Dylan to clear these up now, so you kind of almost prepare yourself for the fact that's going to happen, and wait for your next opportunity, which is going to be a break.
Frame number 5, Jon McAllister to break, trailing 3 frames to 1.
Jon continues breaking the way he has, and he'll keep himself in this match. Goodness me, he's timing it so well. This is the break that won him the world title. He was breaking like this what felt like all weekends, just almost unplayable when you break this way. You're going to win every frame on your serve, as it were.
When you break this big and you can play to the level that Jon McAllister can play at, it does feel like a serve at tennis. It does feel like a surprise when you don't make a ball and clear them up and win the frame on your serve. It really does give you that sense. Not sure if the yellow that's touching the red at the top of the table, I'm not sure if that goes to the top left. It looks tight. I think there might just be enough room. And if there is, then every ball actually has a pocket.
Yeah, it's not the easiest to know. We sort of had this with the last Jon McAllister clearance with that yellow into the middle, didn't we? We'll know soon enough, because if he feels like he's not really able to pot it, he'll have to go into it.
Trying to have a bit of a look from that overhead, and I think it does go, but I'm not 100% certain. Clever little shot that from Jon. I think a lot of players would have just potted that and not thought too much more than making the ball, but that little nudge on the red opens up the pocket for the 8-ball, which actually, when you look at the red at the bottom right hand part of the table as well, the 8-ball didn't have an obvious pocket, so that's a delicate one but an important one.
Yeah, it's those little touches, isn't it, which really separate the good from the great. And Jon McAllister definitely in the latter of that bracket, which is amazing to think, given he is only 26. Me and he almost both off air earlier when we were chatting about it. Just surprised. He has been around for such a long time. Still just 26. He's got so many years to come, Jon McAllister, where he could be, you know, really on top of the world game. He's that good.
It also surprises me. I think the first time I met Jon, he was around 19 or 20, and he looked exactly the same as he does now. So, just always seemed older to me.
I get the sense he might be one of those sort of Benjamin Button characters. We'll sort of see him in 20 years' time. He still hasn't changed his appearance. Still looks exactly the same. But another great clearance from Jon, and he is looking excellent. This is such a good standard. All right then, let's take a look at the draw of the Ultimate Pool Masters. We can see our results from week 1. There, Jordan Shepherd getting the benefit of Jez Graham in the last 32. There he goes through into the last 16. He'll meet the winner of tonight, be that Jon McAllister, Dylan Leary, Luke Gilbert or Chris Melling. Now then, take a look at Group 4. In yellow, wild card. Let's set the rumour mill in motion, shall we? Me and Simon know who this is, and when I tell you this is a name you are not going to want to miss, I could not mean that more. An unbelievable get for the competition. Sadly had the withdrawal of one of the players, so up stepped the person to fill in on short notice. We'll see them go in week 4 of the competition. That's in a fortnight's time. Let's see if we can start the rumour mill. Let us know your guesses, ladies and gents. You can see the hashtags and the Twitter all over the arena. Let us know.
Yeah, it's a shame it was Darren Appleton that pulled out. It's a shame, but it is going to be fascinating to see that night. And I am open to bribes, so feel free to message me your offers.
To be fair, I will tell anyone if they can cut my hair at 9 AM tomorrow.
Extension call.
That's where I am. To be fair, if anyone's in the Newcastle under Lyme area with a pair of scissors, come on over.
Yeah, we get a 4-minute break. It'll be just about enough time for you.
Not sure that'd be enough to sweep up the remains. Jon again having to play safe. It wasn't a good break from Dylan. Again, he's been a bit hit and miss on the break so far than what we've seen. That's a better safety from Jon than the one he played at this juncture a couple of frames ago. Feels like a bit of a swing frame, this, doesn't it? Race to 8, 3-2, 4-2 could feel like a bit of a big advantage at this stage.
Also, the fact that I think we'll be going to break after this frame as well, so it will be, you know, if Dylan was able to win it and get to 4, it would hold an advantage and make Jon think about it over the break, and the same applies the other way round if Jon can cut that gap.
Is that our first miss pot, Si? I think it might be. It's been some standard this, and I'm fairly sure that's our first miss pot.
Keeping the stats man busy.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of loose safety shots and a couple of errant breaks, but my goodness me, the standard of potting has been perfect. Apart from that one from Dylan, it's let Jon in here, and he is an aggressive player. He's at
Yellow ball's in play.
Almost understated a lot of the time, Jon McAllister, but the way he plays, he is naturally so aggressive.
It's not a great chance, but it is a chance. Needs to play a very good plant at the bottom of the table or play a developing shot of some sort. Those two yellows at the bottom, I think the plant, you can definitely make the plant, but it's not an easy one by any stretch. But if he goes for it and he doesn't make it, he isn't going to potentially leave the table 2 on, although he's going to go quite aggressive here. What a shot! What a shot that is!
What a shot!
When I saw him queuing up, I just assumed this yellow went, and it was only when we went to that other camera you realise, oh, that yellow doesn't go, and he's playing it off that one. And
that's a stroke of genius, isn't it? I think he's been a little bit unlucky in the sense that I think this yellow down the rail doesn't go. I think it's a little bit blocked off by the other, but I mean, you'd take that as a result, wouldn't you?
Even if it doesn't go, he has other ways, and this camera angle shows it will go. He can just drop this in if he wants to. There is enough room. So that one shot, what I thought was going to be a difficult layout and he's going to require a cannon or a really good plant, one great shot, and all of a sudden, you know, you're struggling to see how Jon can make the mistake from here.
Let's be clear, it was a great shot. We'll chalk that one down. She'll be a shot of the tournament competition at some point. That'll be up there. Brilliant. Got some brilliant shot makers in the tournament. Jon is one of them. He does have a habit of pulling out the big moments when he needs them.
In the Premier League a couple of years ago on Free Sports, it felt like Jon was running his own shot of the competition. It was every week he was coming up with something very, very special. Not sure he's quite come back far enough. Maybe just the camera angle fooling me again.
He looks a bit straight on this, yeah.
I think he would have loved one more inch, but I think he is straight enough on it. I was worried he had too much angle, but actually no, this camera shows he is absolutely fine. So it's just my eyes that are wrong. Just has to make sure that the window or the margin here isn't massive, so he just has to judge this one, pace of this one nicely.
Yeah, he's just marked out on his cue there where his window is. He's marked the area where he wants to leave the white. Anywhere above it, anywhere below it, and he's in trouble. Just has to pace this well. And these are the shots on this table in the early going where we've seen players come a little bit unstuck.
He's overhit it a little bit. This is a bit betwixt and between.
Yeah, he's right on the line of where he marked out. Slightly overhit. The cut back isn't easy. The cut to the corner might open up the middle pocket into play. This to square things up. Tough shot.
Looks like he's going to go for the cut to the middle, and he's very concerned about the in-off.
For 3 apiece. It's a great shot. It's a really good clearance there.
Frame.
Jon McAllister with some really high-level stuff here. Played some brilliant shots in that clearance. And there weren't many two better than that pot. Beautifully done. And it's 3 apiece after 6 frames, Simon. We thought this would be close, but this really is living up to it, isn't it? Both players playing so well.
Yeah, and you know, the mistakes are being punished, and there's only really been one, maybe 1.5 mistakes from each player, and each time it's been punished, the other frames are being won from the break. So this is going to come down to who can make the least number of mistakes, and it could come down to 1 or 2 shots.
Yeah, properly top level this. Can't wait to see how this one ends up. Don't you dare go anywhere.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
A very warm welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Ultimate Pool Masters.
Frame
First round
7.
match here between Jon McAllister and Dylan Leary. We've got 4 players with us tonight. Only one will advance through to the last 16. The winner of this will play the winner of Chris Melling and Luke Gilbert. That is to come a little bit later on. We are not going to take our eyes off this for 1 second. Standard has been brilliant so far, and I must say that is the worst break that Jon McAllister has hit by a distance. It's been untouchable so far. 3 breaks, 3 enormous mammoth hits. That one was poor, and it's let Dylan in with a chance in this 7th frame.
Yeah, it didn't quite ping open as nicely as the previous breaks, although even then it still looked like he was going to make a ball. That yellow hit both jaws in the centre pocket and then stayed up. The only good thing from a Jon McAllister side of the table is the fact that, yes, he's broken dry, but he has at least left a congested table. This isn't a wide open chance here for Dylan. A couple of really good
Red balls in
pots
play.
and developing shots required to open these up, especially on the right-hand side. Good news for Dylan, there is a couple of reds there that will open up. Just trying to work out which ball he wants to use to play a cannon. Looks a little straight to me on the one he's nearest to. May have just enough angle to force this across. No, didn't. So stuns it up the table. Now he has one of the 2 nearest the pocket. The one furthest away from the cushion looks the obvious ball, and the good thing is he'll be leaving the other one there, which means he'll be playing on that one whilst nudging them open. The problem he has is he's got to try and nudge both open in one shot. And he's hampered queuing. Oh, that's job done. That is job done very well.
Great shot, wasn't it? Really, really top plate.
Still has a slight issue with the 8 ball. Not sure if he can get to the potting angle to either of the bottom pockets. If he can't, then that's going to be a problem. And he has to be careful with the order he takes these 3 in as well. The middle one, the one he's nearest to, is actually a bit of a tricky ball, even though it has an easy pocket, or an obvious pocket now. From our camera angle, it doesn't look like he's come far enough across the table, but going by his body language, I think he must have.
Three shots away then from going into a 4-3 lead. Looks like he's got a good angle here. Just to hold the white just off the cushion. This one may well go down to the wire. May not be in terms of time. It's been a pretty quickly played match so far. But this a great opportunity. Bullet straight. Just composes himself. Dylan Leary takes an advantage and a lead into frame number 8.
Best clearance so far for me. Had to work very hard to piece that one together, develop a couple of balls, and even once they were developed, he had to be very precise with his cue ball control. So excellent stuff from Dylan at the right time.
Well, we saw the first quarter of the draw earlier on. This is the second, groups 5, 6, 7 and 8. And we spoke about this a little bit last week. Potentially the group that a few players would want to be in. It's still competitive, absolutely make no mistake. Anyone that goes through to the last 16 will have a great chance of winning the competition. But it's a group that you'd want to be in. I think everyone in that will fancy their chances of getting to that semi-final spot.
It's a very stacked quarter of the draw, but yeah, I agree with you. I think everyone that's been drawn in that quarter will be relieved of some of the big names they've missed in other quarters of the draw. So I think the players in that quarter will be happy and looking forward to getting going. Where's the 8 ball? Not this time.
Close. Very close. Just thought for a minute. That's the way to do it. As we've seen so far, it can get kicked. And that was really close.
Good news is that he's made a ball, having been dry a couple of times tonight. Bad news is there's a real big cluster there on the left-hand side that is going to take some solving. Whichever colour set he decides to take, and it's going to be difficult to work out. Well, he's decided to go reds.
Red ball's in play.
There isn't a great red to be able to get into the cluster to try and open them up. None of the reds at the top of the table are ideal for that. And one at the bottom of the table would be, but the yellow's in the way of being on the perfect angle. We just see him pointing his cue at the bottom of the table, so he's potentially thinking about some sort of 3-ball plant. That would solve one of the bad balls, but it doesn't do anything for the other bad ball. Unless he's thinking about playing it off 2 yellows into the red. That would be some shot. I'd have to play it with a lot of pace to open up that red, but I guess the shot's on. We saw from his performance in the Champions League, he is a shot maker.
Gonna need to be.
So he may be looking at just a straight 3-ball plant, but I think he might be looking at the yellow, the 2 yellows that are together in the middle of the 4 that are there, playing the red off the middle one of those, and then up to the other one over the pocket to pot the red, whilst pinging open the other red. But the problem he'll have, they have to play this with pace, and the cue will be running a little bit loose. No, he missed the yellow he was trying to contact. Just goes past the yellow. You can see misses the ball he's playing on, and that was a very ambitious shot. I actually thought he might go close to it, but not on this occasion. Good news for him is at least he didn't open anything up when he played that shot. Jon's happy to slow it down and play out this frame tactically, wait for a better opportunity, and yellows have a slightly better colour set right now.
Yeah, he's not a million miles away from being able to go game here, is he? You see, he's stood over the table, just figuring that out.
This is where he absolutely has to try and win this frame regardless of what's going on with the clock. But this is where we start to pay attention to the match clock. There's still time left. Still 12 minutes left, but this match is a race to 8, but it doesn't look like we're going to get there on this occasion. Whatever the score is when we get to 0 on the match clock, that will be the final score. If it's tied, it will be a 6-red shootout.
We're not too far away from a key point. 15-second shot clock in operation from 1:40's time, and it's so quick. It really is. Even the quickest will struggle a little bit at times.
I think the reason I mention it at this early stage is that there's still 11.5 minutes left, but no player in this competition is going to want to go to a 6-red shootout if they can help it. So Jon, being 4-3 behind, just has to be mindful. He absolutely has to win this frame, but needs to be mindful to give himself enough time to win the next one. We're a long way out from that yet, but it's just something to keep a look on.
Yeah, I think there's probably one player in the entire competition who will back himself against anyone else in a 6-red shootout. He's here tonight. That's Chris Melling. He almost used that as almost how a football team will be ahead on goal difference going into it. The draw doesn't really matter to him. He'll back himself against anyone in a 6-red shootout.
Extension called.
I think I'd back him against anyone else in a 6-red shootout as well.
I mean, quite right too. See there, the extension called from Dylan Leary. He's got 30 seconds until that 45 is going to seem like a very, very, very long time.
Good thinking from Dylan. Just get that yellow off the table. Not a foul in international 8-ball rules. It's just turning the table over to Jon McAllister. Chance though, the one thing he has done here is he's given Jon a chance, and Jon will take this on. He needs to play one developing shot, but he has a yellow nearby. So the two yellows that are together in the bottom half of the table. He'll pop one to the bottom left corner and use the angle on that to go into the other yellow. The problem he has is the red over the pocket means that it's not guaranteed to open up completely. This is the key shot.
Oh, he's played that well, I think.
He'll be happy. He's got the yellow to the top of the table. It's a tricky little cutback shot, but if it goes in, natural position for the cue ball onto the yellow in the centre, either the centre of the table or the centre pocket.
Oh, we're in for a really interesting last 8 minutes of this match. Goodness me. It is poised beautifully. (4-4). 15-second shot clock rolling. 8 minutes and change remaining. One of these two great players is going home. It's tough to see which one it's going to be at this stage. Both of them looking good form. Both of them are playing in such good nick at the moment. Right, this is what we've got tonight. Jon McAllister and Dylan Leary, our opening gambit on week number 2 of the Ultimate Pool Masters. That is still to come. Chris Melling against Luke Gilbert. One of the greatest of all time against a young gun. 20 years of age, Luke Gilbert. What an opportunity for him tonight. An absolute free hit in a really big competition. But before we turn our attention to that, we'll not be able to take our eyes off this one for the remaining 7 minutes and 50 seconds. This is going to be so difficult to call. So much rides on what happens with each and every shot here. Jon McAllister breaks dry again, second frame in a row.
No. Reset the clock.
Yeah, I think there was a slight error with the clock there. Dylan Leary didn't want to take too many chances.
Red ball's in play.
I said in the last frame, just going back to the previous frame, that it was a clever shot from Dylan to pop one of Jon's balls over the pocket, but that just gave Jon the opportunity to go for that clearance. And if he hadn't have potted that ball, it would have been very difficult for Jon to go for a clearance. So Dylan's almost teased him into going for it, and Jon said thank you very much. So he'll probably be sat there a little bit frustrated with his decision in the previous frame. He needs to forget about that and focus on this one.
Well, he's frustrated with his shot there because he needed to pot that yellow to make that a good shot, and leaving it open for Jon. It is now there for McAllister to try and take this opportunity that's been handed to him. As I said, he's such an aggressive player, doesn't mind going for it.
I think Jon's annoyed because he wanted a fraction more angle on this. It looks like he's got enough, but he has to really force it. And he hasn't quite opened it up. See the grimace on his face. One more roll to the right and he would have been able to play that developing shot with so much more control.
As it is, he's still looking for the right angle to move into that red and yellow glued together. That's his big problem, it's his big issue. He can't double it from the position it's in right now. Doesn't have a home, needs to find one. Great shot. Has he got a shot to play? Has he been very unlucky? Can he cut that red, that yellow to the right of the two? Yes, he can.
Oh, he's having to swerve it.
Some shot that.
Doubles on.
He's an excellent doubler of a ball, is Jon McAllister. He's going to need to be. This is such a big frame to win. And he's missed it by a centimetre, maybe 2 at most. But he's left himself a good white in terms of how Dylan approaches this now. This isn't easy. Dylan's scrambling a little bit here.
I think the shot clock might have got to Jon there because he was nowhere with the cue ball. It was a very strange effort from Jon. Okay, he was close to the double, but he was nowhere near where he needed to be with the cue ball. So I think he didn't have quite enough time to work out what he wanted to do. Problem is, once you've cleared up so many of your balls, you can open up the table for your opponent, and they are sitting there now for Dylan, and it's so much easier to clear up quickly.
Oh, so much.
When there's no traffic in the way.
Such a dream scenario, this, if you're Dylan Leary. Absolute dream scenario.
I think you want to get the cue ball down the table off this shot. Don't want to be playing the next position from distance, and that's not bad at all.
Yeah, going about these nicely. So it's going to be 3.5 minutes on the clock. And Jon McAllister needs 2 to go through automatically. If he only gets 1, goes potentially to a 6 red shootout. There we go, 5-4. Well, well, well. There's all to play for here. 3.5 minutes left.
That's not Jon's break either. He's going to rely on another dry break from Dylan, who's 50-50 at the moment. 2 dry, 2 where he's made a ball. What he would give for another ball off this next break, because he'll be able to kill a huge amount of the clock if he manages to make a ball and have half a chance.
Jon McAllister does have an abnormally good temperament.
5 frames.
Be an amazing poker player, I reckon, Jon McAllister.
Yeah, he never gives anything away.
Never ever read him. I think he'll be frustrated, but he channels that so well. Keeps his cool on the table. He'll need to. Jon Leary here. If he wins this frame, it would be massive. He's got a ball from the break. That's what he would have wanted. Missed his first shot though. I say missed, obviously he's made the pot, but he wanted some action with the white ball there, and he's not had any of it. Jon McAllister is just, you won't tell it, as we said, but he's just perked up.
Dylan just needs to find a containing shot here. Don't try and risk anything, just contain the situation, because these reds are not laid out nicely, and he's managed to do that. He's just tried to nudge the yellow in amongst the cluster of the balls and try and leave the cue ball safe at the bottom of the table. He hasn't left it perfectly safe, but at least it's congested.
Yeah, if you're doing at this point, you just say to Jon, well, if you can clear these up, fair play. It's a really tough lie, this. But this is Jon McAllister's route back into the match. Could set us up almost for a decider looking at the clock, if he can clear these away.
He's going to need to develop a couple of balls. That cluster with the 8 ball and 3 yellows and the red, he needs to get into that area as quickly as possible.
Won't be able to do it here. He's got a good angle here on this red, potentially.
He's got a couple of options. Could go in the centre pocket, could go to the corner pocket, could come to the bottom corner pocket. But all of those, I don't think are going to allow him to get anywhere near the problem ball. He still hasn't, and I'm not sure how he leaves himself an angle to do so on either of the next 2.
Hasn't got a huge amount of time to work it out. This is his issue. Has he got an angle here?
Not directly. Can he cut this back and go 3 cushions into it? Looks a little bit off angle to me. Yeah, it's not quite there.
Well, he's got to find something. Is it just going to be a good old-fashioned hit and hope?
I think it is.
Nothing doing. And Dylan Leary now can play clock. He knows he's almost there. He just needs to pot a couple, and it will take him over the line. That containing shot in the end was what did it for him. The time is so short. The method of victory so fine. Jon McAllister, can he find himself a miracle? Well, it wasn't a million miles away, was it? Dylan may need to pot a ball here, because the red is very potable for Jon. And there's just about enough time on the clock, just.
It's such an easy safety, though. I don't know if it's worth the risk. No, it's not worth the risk at all.
Well, 10 seconds. Can Jon find the angle and then pot the black? Oh, he so nearly found the angle. But that's going to do it. Late drama.
And the time.
But Dylan Leary gets over the line. And he will go into tonight's final. He's into the last 32. And he's knocked out the IPA World Champion in doing so in round one. Terrific match. Standard was so high, Simon, and they gave us a great match, and you just sort of feel for the loser always in that scenario. It's never easy to lose a match like that, but a word for our defeated player there, Jon McAllister, who gave us some great performances in the short time ultimately he was in the competition.
Yeah, I thought once we got to the break with Jon managing to get back from 3-1 behind to 3-all, I thought Jon might kick on from there, but he broke dry in his next two breaks. He managed to make a ball and looked $1 million from his break in the first three, but once he started breaking dry, the chances started going to Dylan, who was able to get himself over the line. And yeah, that was a very hard-fought match from both of them, but it is Dylan that walks away, and really pleased for Dylan. Had a tough luck in the last competition to see him come through in this one. Excellent performance.
Well, 45 minutes of action there, and we've seen 2 missed pots, and Jon McAllister's with a double. Crazy standard set. Let's see what they can produce in our next semi as Chris Melling takes on Luke Gilbert. The Magician is up next. Don't go anywhere.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Very warm welcome back. Masters Pool on your screens here on Free Sports. Monday Night Pool is here with you for the next 20 weeks. Cannot wait for this competition to get really into the business end, and tonight has already produced one great result. We head into our next match though. Who will make it through? It's the young gun against the legend as Chris Melling takes on Luke Gilbert. Well, Simon, this is a fantastic matchup, isn't it? A real battle between two players who couldn't be more different in so many ways. The one thing they've got in common is they're both phenomenal pool players. Luke is obviously a touch more of the unknown. We know exactly what Chris Melling can bring, and that's what makes him so exciting. He is one of the best players in the world. He is arguably the most entertaining pool player in the world. But a chance here for Luke Gilbert, who's got an absolute free hit because of that. A world junior champion, a phenomenal young talent, just 20 years of age, despite his picture, which makes him look far younger.
Yeah.
And what an opportunity for him, first of all.
Yeah, fascinating, a fantastic opportunity and a brilliant matchup. I'm absolutely really looking forward to this match. Haven't seen a huge amount of Luke play, but with the titles he's won, under 23 world champion and amongst other titles, and I've heard so many good things about Luke. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he plays tonight, but also how he plays against one of the legends of the game, and that isn't easy to do. But if he can, play his game and forget about who he's playing, then he's absolutely in with a chance of winning this match.
Well, Chris tried the developing shot with his opening shot. He's done it successfully on his second. Just makes the game look so ridiculously easy at times. He also manages to make the game look freakishly difficult in his own way as well, which is part of the charm of Chris Melling. We've seen him in action in the Champions League. He won that event here on Free Sports just about a month ago now. We've also seen him on these screens in the 9-ball tournament that was on Free Sports recently as well. Went pretty well in that too. Just an all-time great, no two ways about it. And for a lot of players who've been able to say they've not played a huge amount in the last year, they've not got their eye in, can't say that about Chris. He's been busy in the last month.
He's been very busy, and we've seen lots of it here on Free Sports. It's great to see him, and it's one of the things he's done throughout his career, and I find fascinating that he can do that, is that he chops and changes from different cue sports. You know, being a professional snooker player, played Chinese 8-ball, played 9-ball. We've seen him play in Moscone Cup, and only, a month ago we saw him winning the Champions League, or the Ultimate Pool Champions League, and then he goes very, very deep in the Championship League Matchroom event on Free Sports as well. So it's brilliant stuff from Chris to be able to chop and change games, although he'll be really disappointed with that miss down the rail.
Well, talk about an opportunity for Luke Gilbert. Here's your chance, kid. Reds are all in the open, all at their own end of the table. If he can take this out, what a jolt of confidence this will give him. We saw him practice earlier, Simon, and as well as the sort of accolades that are to his name at junior level, you can see when he's around the table, he is not here to make up the numbers. He would love to cause an upset tonight. He's talented enough to do it.
Yeah, there is plenty of talent there. You can't win the titles he's won without it. And I think the biggest thing for him is just to forget about who he's playing and play his own game. Worry about his side of the table, and if he can do that, and he absolutely has a chance. But I always say, when you're playing great players and some of the elite players, it's about punishing mistakes, and he's got an opportunity here in frame 1 to punish a mistake from Chris Melling, and there won't be many of them, so you have to make the most of it when they come along.
Yeah, it was a loose one from Chris, wasn't it? Made no mistake. And the break was so big from Chris. It's a chance against the serve, as it were. What a start for the nipper. Luke Gilbert is on the board. The man from Huntingdon, 20 years of age, that's all. But he's got some accolades at this level as well. 2018 Junior World Champion. He then won the Under-23 World title the year after that as well. Imagine there's no 2020 competition there because of the lack of competition at all last year. So at the more recent iterations of world level junior pool, he's proven he is the man, or the boy as it were, at that level.
Absolutely, yeah.
No quantity here. He's got a real shot. We've seen the talent, we've seen the titles.
Leading 1-0.
It may well come down to how well he holds it together. How's his bottle? How's his nerve? Because that's the one thing you can't prove with accolades and titles. He's been unlucky there. It's a good break. Not got the ball. And he hands the table over to Chris Melling.
He showed in that first frame, though, he was able to punish that mistake. And okay, yes, I know it was a really open table, and players are going to come and look at that and go, well, you expect to clear up in that situation. You do, but you're nervous, you're on TV, you're playing a legend of the game. If you are going to show any, that was a time that you could potentially do so. But he was in perfect position all the way through. It wasn't clearance he made, just by potting his way out of it. He was absolutely perfect all the way. So a great start for Luke, and I think Chris now knows he's in a game. Good opportunity for a very quick response here from Chris. Doesn't look like he's landed perfectly on this next ball. Cut back to the bottom right.
Something, isn't he? He's just trying to figure out where the white's going to end up. Doesn't like this shot at all. I think you're right. He's looking at the cut back to the bottom right. Send the white into those yellows at the left side of the table. This has the potential to go wrong. He's held it really well. He's got awkward queuing, but he can regain this.
Yeah, the reason he's frustrated, he's got this next ball, but the red has just gone awkward at the bottom of the table. There isn't much room to land on that red, and when you do land on that red, it's hard to play on the next one. You might play it straight away. You might brush off the first one to pot the other one. Hit him almost at exactly the same time, and he's controlled that so well. That could easily have gone wrong. It wasn't as easy as he made it look.
The thing that I love about watching Chris play as well is his manner and his cue action and the way he strikes the ball is so fluid, so natural. You see him line up a shot there, and we've got the perfect angle off the main camera. He's playing the cue ball at such an off-centre angle. Few players can do that to that sort of level and have that sort of control. He just knows it intrinsically.
Absolutely.
And look at the way he's playing the white ball here. And it is just
Extension, please.
A God-given talent, the ability he has with the cue ball. It's almost like he's playing mini clip and he's going right to the borders of the cue ball where he can hit it.
Yeah, no, but he'd be annoyed though that he's just over or under hit, depending on which way you look at it on that previous shot. Perhaps didn't quite get as much side on as he wanted, which sounds strange considering he was hitting as far on the edge of the ball as possible, but he was very close to the yellow that he was trying to avoid.
Yeah, it's a tough pot. We're about to see a bit of it with the famed Melling magic. Never in doubt, was it? But now this 8-ball's interesting.
Yeah, step one done to recover. It doesn't go, you can see from this camera angle, the 8-ball does not go in the centre pocket, and I'm not sure it even goes in the top pocket. This might have to be a cut back to the top right. No, it does, I think it does go to the top left.
Well. Not happy.
He throws his arms up to suggest this maybe just turned away from the centre of the pocket. Always looked to be on the jaw to me, but it was tight past that yellow. Now this is tricky for Luke. Because the 8-ball's right over the pocket and because you're playing a player that is capable of potting that off 2, 3, 4 cushions, you have to lay a really good snooker here. Somehow you have to really tie this up.
That might not be good enough. It's decent, but given who he's playing, this might not be good enough.
No chance for a clearance for Luke at all, so had to play the snooker. Sometimes you just have to hold your hands up if Chris can make this shot and say, you know, it was a great shot. You know, he's laid as good a snooker as he probably could have done. This is still really difficult for Chris. I'm saying that he's going to get close to this, but this is not easy.
Yeah, it's just an assumption. If this is anyone else, you know, you're thinking this is a really difficult one, but you just do have that natural sort of assumption with Chris Melling that he's going to go really close to this one. You can see the mind turning. What can he pick out? He was close, but not quite able to do it. Well then, Luke Gilbert.
Ball in hand.
Good chance this is. Cue ball in hand in international 8-ball rules.
Just a trace more side, I think, to get to a little bit lower on that centre pocket.
The issue he's got here is he doesn't just have the ability to break open that area very easily. He can't just open it up and then pot it afterwards. He had to do it first time. And that's the first error from Luke Gilbert tonight. It's a dolly of a shot. He doesn't miss this. He's purely playing the cannon. He's taking his eye off the pot.
And it wasn't just the cannon. He was playing the cannon in such a way that he wanted to be on one of the balls he was cannoning because he had nothing else. And this time he leaves it fairly easy for Chris.
Frame.
Double kisses there. Chris Melling squares things up. That'll be a little bit of a relief for the magician. Luke Gilbert will be thinking, what might have been? Well, this is Chris Melling, the 42-year-old from Keighley. And what a list of accolades he has. He's a 2-time world champion, a 2-time world master, as well as a 5-time tour champion. MVP in the Moscone Cup, I think in 2012 that was, and a 3 times Challenge Tour champion. That, by the way, is in snooker.
Yeah, and
One
he also
frame
plays Chinese 8-ball as well, and he has titles in that sport as well.
Yeah,
So
9-ball Masters champion.
The list goes on.
Ridiculous list of accolades, some of which I'm sure he himself has even managed to forget. It's been that decorated a career. But make no mistake, a win for Luke Gilbert tonight would be a huge upset. And in its own way, that puts its pressure on Chris. He's fully expected to win this match at the very least. He knows whoever he'd have played on the other side of tonight, he's in for a tough second match, but it's a real banana skin for him, this. And if Luke can just carry on chipping away, keep it close.
Luke will be annoyed not to win that last frame because he played the cannon so well, just missing that pot and leaving Chris the opportunity. But the best way to forget about that sort of mistake is to make the most of your next opportunity. Make a lovely little reverse dish here. Oh, he's missed straight away.
This is the level, though. That's the problem. Can't afford to miss. We saw that in the opening match. Dylan Leary, Jon McAllister. You almost take it for granted when you're so used to seeing these top players play. 2 properly missed pots in 50 minutes of pool. It's a ridiculous standard.
Yeah, I think we've seen 4 so far in this match, and we're only just starting frame 3. Those couple of missed pots from Luke will give Chris plenty of, I don't know what the right word is, but he'll be, buoyed up by that, because he should be 2-0 down, and the fact that he's now seeing his opponent miss a couple of chances that you wouldn't expect him to miss, it's just going to free him up a little bit to almost get him going a little bit more.
Yeah, we talk about the ability for Luke Gilbert to maybe put Chris under a little bit of pressure. Chris still has all the cards in that sense. If he can get ahead, he's such an experienced player, such a talented operator, and it's very easy to sort of pile it onto Luke Gilbert and say, all right then, let's see what you've got. And that's a different sort of style that Luke's used to dealing with.
Been a much better visit to the table for Chris on this occasion. Cue ball in perfect control all the way through. No need to come up with big pots.
Yeah, cleanness from Chris Melling. Really, really clean, never in doubt. For a long way through that. And again for Luke, maybe a little bit of what might have been.
Yeah, he'll feel he should have won frame 2, and he'll definitely feel like he should have made a better effort there on frame 3. Needs to forget about that now.
We've seen our first half of the Ultimate Pool Masters draw. How about this for our second half? Third quarter of the draw here, groups 9, 10, 11 and 12. What a lineup this is. We've got Simon Fitzsimmons, the great shootout winner against Jordan Shepherd, who can forget that one. Group 10 is an absolute shark tank. Group 11, we'll talk about snooker. We've got the young Supremo Ryan Davies in that one. He's got the likes of Craig Waddingham, Sean Story to contend with.
Frame number 4.
Aaron Davies' older brother goes in Group 12. He kicks things off in the match against Shane Thompson, one of the ties of the first rounds. Just non-stop quality throughout. It's going to be relentless. Can't wait. So excited about this competition.
I feel like every week throughout the whole competition there's a story that we're going to watch unfold. There's so many great matchups, there's so many great players. It is really going to be fascinating to see how far, how these groups unfold, and however we end up in the next stage of this competition, it's just going to be just high drama and high quality pool. Second dry break on the trot for Luke Gilbert.
Red ball's in play.
Not the worst table for Chris to be going at, just the one real problem ball. I'm assuming the red that's nearest the bottom right hand corner pocket he can pot. It's tight, the yellow might be in the way, but I think there's enough room. Oh, that's a surprising miss from Chris.
Yeah.
Really surprising.
I should say. just do not see this very often at all. Missed it thick as well.
Yeah, I just wonder, because he's missed it so thick and it is unusual, whether he had a sort of skiddy kick on it. It's very difficult to tell, and I'm not trying to sort of protect the players in saying that. It's just one of those that could happen.
It's a really horrible lie this for Luke Gilbert to try and go at. He's got to try and fashion something here. And actually, I think that's not a great result for him. I think there's 2 reds at the bottom of the table now plants, which actually solves one of Chris's issues. If Chris has a pot here, he could be in business.
Yeah, I think he's on the red to the centre pocket, so I think you're absolutely right. I think that plant, actually, it looks messier, but I think it makes it easier for Chris at the bottom of the table. Wants the cue ball to travel a little bit more. I think he was playing on the plant because the ball he wants to solve is the one that's just above that yellow. And if he was lower on it, he could play the plant and screw into it. It's not in the worst place for a double. If he wants it in a couple of shots' time, he has to get the red nearest the left centre pocket out of the way first. He's played into it from that ball, and this time it hasn't worked out.
Looked cool though.
It looked good, but it's not the result he was after. He was trying to hit the red that's away from the other 2.
Yeah, it's tough to explain this one. That's absolutely a bad result for Chris Melling. Because the reds now on the right where the Q-tip is, right on the right side cushion, is a big problem. And he's having to use all of his brain here to figure it out. Shake of the head, look at the shot clock.
Extension call.
Extension called. This is tricky, really tricky.
This could be just a safety shot. It's a messy layout on yellows. Don't push the boat out. You've still got 3 reds left. I know Chris is a big-time shot maker, but I don't think there's one here from.
Yeah, this is a rare example of you play the match, don't you? You know, if this is a different player, if this is, you know, his last opponent on Free Sports and 8-Ball tournament, if this is Michael Hill, maybe you're thinking, I don't want to give the opportunity away, but he's thinking, you know what, I'm in a good position here. I'm up against a really talented rookie, but he is a rookie. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes you do play the player in that way. Be interesting to know whether he would have gone a slightly different way if he was playing someone like Michael. But you know, if this tactical battle plays out, then he could end up losing it, because 3 against the 7, you'd always back the 7. But Chris's first safety was very good. If the double was on, he'd play it, but I'm not sure it goes past the red nearest to centre pocket. Oh, he's thinking about a double plant. That would be some shot, and the problem with a double plant is that the red he's hitting first could easily go up towards those yellows and go safe.
It's so close, isn't it?
Yeah, notice the pace he plays it at. He was so conscious of this red not going too far up the table and going safe. He's played it quite slowly.
He's so close to pulling out an unbelievable shot there. Well then, here's your chance. Gilbert to square things up as well. He's been up against it feels like, in these last few frames, but he's still very much in there, the young gun. And this isn't the easiest clearance you've ever seen, but his yellows are all in one bit of the table. That's where all his work is.
I'm not sure if he wanted to leave an angle on this yellow to have to play into those 3, because he could take them all out and pick them without actually having to move them, but he has left an angle to go into them. And that's not bad. He's got one out, landed on another one. Just that one left on the cushion, which isn't in the worst place for a double. Probably not from where he is now. He looks a little bit off on the double now. And the reason I'm saying the double rather than playing for it down the cushion is that it's quite hard to land on it down the cushion. There's some reds in the way. Margin of error is quite small, so it's going to be the double. If this goes in, you'd expect him to clear up. Oh, hits both jaws and stays
really
up.
close. he's away there if that drops.
Thought that was him when he hit it. I didn't expect him to miss that. It's just those 2-3 little shots so far in this match that have been the difference.
He can quickly get away from you. I've seen it so many times. Chris Melling goes 3-1 up. He's making pretty heavy weather of this so far. Not quite at his best. But 4-1 up. And we mentioned Michael Hill. He's in Group 15. This is our final quarter of the Ultimate Pool Masters draw. This is arguably the toughest to call your semi-finalist out of. We've got so many good players in here, starting with the likes of Neil Raybone in Group 13, Scott Gillespie, John Rowe, what a first-round match that is. You know, even Omar Mushid versus Carl Boys, that's an unbelievable group, that Group 14. My tie of the round, Michael Hill, Sean Chipperfield. Such a shame almost to lose one of those two in the first round. And then that Group 16 is really difficult to call as well. Whoever emerges out of that shark tank of a quarter of a draw to play in that fourth semi-final spot is going to be a big favourite for the tournament. That's how good that is, whoever it is.
Yeah, I completely agree. This whole tournament is so stacked. There's so many great players, and yeah, I am really looking forward to. I mean, there were so many groups there that caught my eye. Interesting that the players there almost broke out of turn.
Yeah, Luke was very happy to there. Both of them just forgetting, but no, it's Chris's break and he's made a ball. His break is beautiful to watch, isn't it? He talks about Jon McAllister's style. Chris is quite unorthodox, but you just don't argue with his game. It is so natural to watch.
Yeah, he's got such a long cue action. It's just perfect for the break in terms of generating power. He generates easy power without having to go out of his normal technique or his normal shape at all. You can see it even on a shot like that. You know, he pulls back a long way, a really long cue action, but he has great control with it.
Just goes back to what we were saying about the sort of the natural ability he has. You can't play that with that style without having such a beautiful ability at this game. It's such a, almost makes the game more difficult for yourself. You have to have unbelievable hand-eye coordination, unbelievable sort of ability to be able to do that. Not many players can.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. It's very natural with Chris. It really is.
Not too many who have that sort of style. I'm trying to think of a couple. Craig Marsh is one that springs to mind. Lovely flowy cue action.
But you can see why he's come, you know, he's got a background in multiple different cue sports. Oh, has he snookered himself? Oh, he's just gone by.
No, he's perfect. Don't be silly.
Yeah. But it's the sort of cue action that can thrive in a sport like snooker.
Yeah, that easy power you talk about. You know, the snooker table is twice as big, if not bigger, than this table, and just so easy. Easy on the eye, easy clearance for Chris Melling as well. Beautifully done. There's the stats so far. Interestingly to see, the missed pots column is equal, 3 apiece, and that's maybe the one unexpected element of it.
Especially a couple of those from Chris were very unexpected, and from Luke's side of the table, it's the couple of the mistakes he's made there, a couple of the missed pots has been ones you weren't expecting at key times. There's an opportunity to clear up, to go 2-0 ahead. That was a miss we weren't expecting. Yeah, cue ball in hand at that point.
To break, trailing 4 frames to 1.
That was the first break and dish in the match so far from Chris. Oh, a much better break this time from Luke. Having had 2 dry breaks to start the match off, he gets through this one much better. Needs to respond now to Chris.
Yeah, Yeah, he's hit that really well. And as you say, first time he's really been able to do that, Luke Gilbert, who's, we mentioned, such a young player, 20 years of age, you know, is remarkable to be at such a high level. But when you have won the tournaments that he's won, he is here on merit alone. And I know when he first turned up to the venue, you sort of see the face and you automatically think you're too young to be allowed into a pool and snooker club. You need to get yourself back home, back to bed with the teddy bear.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably
past your bedtime, Luke.
Might be a sign that we're getting old, right? But, tricky layout for Luke. He deserved better. That was his best break of the match, as I said. But that red at the top of the table, that is not easy to solve. A couple of options to get into it. The red into the centre pocket or the red at the top of the table, but not guaranteed to come out nicely for him. He would have wanted to go into it earlier if he could. I actually think he would have preferred to go yellows if he could as well, but I don't think yellows were an option for him.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers in that scenario, and Luke Gilbert, a 4-1 down, does now have to make a play in that sense. This is not an easy lie. Extension is going to be called. Just has to figure this one out. Top of the table's obviously a concern. It looks like he's got a pretty good angle to me to potentially make something happen from this red. That's not a bad go.
Yeah, just didn't have the angle to go directly into the red and yellow, but tried to make something happen. He might be able to just raise the butt of the cue and get into that red and yellow again. I mean, the angle's there from this time.
He just had a look, didn't he?
Oh, this could be good.
Oh, that's a great shot. Brilliant. Really, really good from Luke Gilbert. This is so good. Fully as played. Even used more of the pocket with the yellow to widen the angle. Absolutely as played. Brilliantly done. It's not out of the woods yet. Still got a bit of work to do, but this would be a really high tariff clearance.
The reason he's taking his time from this position is that the 8-ball is still a concern. He needs to leave a really good angle on this red at the top of the table. The 8-ball does not go to its two obvious pockets. Looks like he's got just a shade of angle, but not much. Yeah, looks like all he can do is come back to just short of where he is now. Leave a difficult 8-ball to the bottom right-hand corner. Needs the white to bounce. It's not going to reach the cushion. Is he on this?
Think he's okay. Looks to me he couldn't have gone much further, but actually it might be the best angle possible. Oh, he had to play with a little bit of side, but he gets there. That's a really, really top clearance from Luke Gilbert. That's the Junior World Champion, folks. 2018, 2019 Junior and then under 23 world titles. That's the player you see there. That was top level stuff.
It really was. He had to work hard there to make that finish. I didn't fancy him for it because of that ball at the top of the table. He took two efforts to get it out, but excellent stuff to get over the line and respond to that break dish from Chris Melling with one of his own.
Almost had to play the same great shot twice in that sense, didn't he? Because first time it didn't work, played it well, didn't quite get the result he desired. But how good was that shot to clear away the top end of the table? Because he judged it to millimetre perfection.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go into it with more pace, but he played it just a nudge into it and stay on the red, and it was absolutely perfect and a great shot from him.
Yeah, and that 8-ball wasn't the easiest either. That showed a little bit of bottle, didn't it?
It certainly did. That wasn't easy. Could easily have missed that, and the fact he made it, it's going to okay. He's still 4-2 behind, but at least he's still in there fighting.
Well, we're at the halfway point of this match, or thereabouts. It's time to go for a break, but don't go anywhere. Chris Melling versus Luke Gilbert resumes when we come back.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Very warm welcome back, everyone. Ultimate Pool Masters here on your Monday night's pool. Myself, Stephen Jameson and Simon Webb back with you this evening, as we will be for every Monday night for the foreseeable. Melling with the break. 4-2 he leads. And is he going to come up dry there? Well, he is. And Luke Gilbert here can just keep chipping away. We've spoken about this a little bit earlier on. The young gun against one of the consensus best players ever. And it's going to be really difficult for Luke Gilbert to do this. If he can make it a bit scrappy, make it a bit difficult, put a bit of pressure on Chris. He's not immune to that. You know, it's not impossible, but he just needs to keep on going. He's done a good job so far.
Chris has been a little bit lucky, even though he was dry.
Yellow ball's in
I
play.
say he's been a little bit lucky. I wasn't sure that Luke could pop that, but he's made a great pot to at least get a colour set. But he's not landed nicely on his next ball, but he's up and running. I think it's important for Luke to try and get that next frame. If he can cut the gap down to 1, keep himself close, keep within 1 or 2. The minute he starts getting 3 and 4 behind, okay, there's still 20 minutes left in this match, but it's going to be so hard to get back into it.
This is some attempted pot. Oh, he gets the drop as well. A little bit close. Wiped its feet. A little bit of mushy into the corner. It's there though.
And he's been a little fortunate that when he catches that red, it hasn't gone and sat on top of the yellow. So the yellow on the left-hand side still goes to the bottom left-hand corner. The chance is now there. That's 2 excellent shots to get into this visit from Luke. Just come up short. I don't think the yellow he's nearest to passes the one nearest the pocket. I think he had to hit the gap. If he plays the plant, then the yellow he's hitting is going to go towards that red on the top of the table, on the top cushion. Has to play this quite slowly.
He's been a little unlucky as well, Luke, in the sense he's not had many easy clearances to go at. He's having to really make his own chances here. Doing a pretty good job of it. This is tough. To make these 3 yellows in the 8 ball here will be some effort.
Played that plant really well. So easy for that to get away from him. The gap to land on this yellow at the bottom of the table is not a big gap. Needs a very good positional shot. Has an angle on the yellow to be able to land there. 2 ways of playing it. He can come straight back down the centre of the table or play this 2 cushions. If he can get the angle off 2 cushions, he'll be going down the line towards the yellow on the that's causing the problems at the bottom. But if he doesn't quite get enough into it, it could go awkward. So he's going to leave more distance to make sure he hits that gap. I like that. I like that choice.
It's a good leave. It's a tough white. Can he make this work? Oh, I tell you what, Luke Gilbert, what a clearance this has the potential to be. To put him back within 1.
What an effort that is from Luke Gilbert. That's by far and away his best visit to the table in this match. That was not easy. I thought Chris was fairly fortunate the way he left the table after that dry break, but Luke's come up with a really good clearance to cut his gap down to just 1. Well, Stephen Jamieson's just popped out of the commentary box to go and get a few words with Dylan Leary.
Yeah, I certainly have. Dylan, a huge congratulations on a really impressive win there. It was tight at the end, a little bit of clock pressure against a really good opponent, but you held it all together. Talk us through it.
Yeah, when it went to 15 seconds, my mind just frazzled, and as you see, I played the shot. I didn't know if my clock had started, so I played the shot so quick, and then the shot afterwards was even worse. I opened up the whole table, which ended up won me the frame because he went for the clearance, and unfortunate for him, he snookered himself on his penultimate ball, I think.
It was some standard of game pretty much before that 15-second shot clock where it all got a little bit chaotic, but before that, I think it was 2 missed pots in the entire 50 minutes between the pair of you. It was some standard. How pleased were you to be able to get through a match like that? Because of course you had it difficult when you were here in the Champions League. You had a hellish draw to make it out of there. You're into the next round here. Must feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. To get the win against a player of his class is always good for the old confidence, and and to see the win out like I did I played a couple of tactical shots, which, you know, probably the viewers didn't want to see, but, you know, I had to wrap the black up and snooker him. But, you know, I've got to win the match first, and, you know, worry about entertaining later.
Well, you've got an interesting match, whatever awaits you in the second match tonight. It's of course still up in the air with Chris and Luke. I noticed you were speaking to Luke a lot before the action got going here. Did you give him any tips, some words of wisdom that you've gathered down the years?
No. Just keep practicing like he's always on the practice table anyway. So just keep it up, and I did actually say about the shot clock. Use your time out, as you know, because you forget when you're in the moment. But yeah, I mean, he's such a good little player anyway. He's going to give him a good fight, as you just saw in that last clearance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, great match in prospect, whatever awaits you. Congratulations on the win already.
Thank you.
Back to you, sir.
Cheers.
Good to hear Dylan's thoughts on that match with Jon McAllister. We'll see Dylan again playing the winner of this match in tonight's final. Dry break from Luke Gilbert in this frame. It's given the opportunity to Chris, but it was a congested frame right from the start, and Chris hasn't quite been able to work things out just yet. Has an angle here to go into them, but it's not guaranteed to knock everything open. That's a decent shot if the yellow goes into the centre pocket. If not, it's tricky. It's good to see when you see players of Chris's level, when they're starting to play the developing shots, they don't just fly into a little cluster. They're always looking for the right way to go into balls, and Chris tried to play that in the way that maximised his chances of being on the next ball. Excellent pot to the middle, and staying on this one to the corner as well. And work in this frame is now done, just needs to pot the balls, and excellent response to that previous frame from Luke.
It's just warming up this one, isn't it?
It is.
A little bit of a slow start from both players, in fairness. Both players not quite at their best. But it is just starting to heat up. Both these two really starting to feel it, get in the groove.
I think for me that's 4 straight finishes from the break between the two of them, a break dish and a reverse dish each, so it is really hotting up.
A reminder of what comes in the next few weeks here on Free Sports. Jordan Shepherd awaits the winner of these 4 players. It will be either Dylan Leary, Luke Gilbert or Chris Melling. They'll meet in the first last 16 match in, well, quite a while, but when we get to the knockout stages. And then next week, oh, what a week next week. Phil Harrison, Greg Batten, Mark Farnsworth, Tom Price. Just does not slow down, does it? Another couple of world champions thrown in the mix there.
Oh, what a break that is.
An unbelievable break.
I mean, that's almost saying I can't believe it was dry last time, I'm going to have to hit them even harder. And wow.
1, 2. I think it's 4 yellows, is it? 3 yellows?
3 yellows and a red, yeah.
Just amazing.
And that's often the way, actually, when you make lots of balls off the break. Okay, it opens the table up, but if you've got a problem, you've got less ways of solving it. And okay, Chris has got half a problem here, and that's the 8 ball, but he has a way to land on it into the centre pocket that I just don't see him ever thinking about moving this. In fact, it is just a perfect little line. He's going to be taking off his last ball to land right behind the 8 ball.
It's on to be one of the quickest frames you'll see. This, just purely through sheer volume of pots that he has to make. We're having a little chat with him before we got going tonight, because he took on the Ultimate Pool Speed Pool Challenge that has been doing the rounds on their social media, and he was telling us a little bit about, he's done this sort of thing before. He is that quick a player. He's given this a bit of a go. He said he did it once, and his effort was so good because he made 6 off the break.
Just 6 off the break. I mean, that will speed things up a little bit. It's certainly sped this frame up, and excellent all the way through that. I thought it might be tricky because of where the 8 ball landed, but it was just, he played it perfectly. And we were talking about Luke's reverse dish was so good to get him back to 4-3. He's done nothing but sit in his chair since. What a response from Chris Melling to a brilliant clearance from Luke.
And he'll do that.
Frame number 10, Luke Gilbert to break, trailing 6 frames to 3.
Just about enough time to make it work here for the young gun. Needs a ball, gets a ball. It's not a bad split, this. Great opportunity for Luke Gilbert. What do you make of his technique off the break zone? And it's something you're always on the lookout for. You see it there in crystal clear slow motion.
Well, one of the things I look at is what happens to the cue ball, and he's controlled that cue ball straight back up the centre of the table beautifully. It was a lovely break. Look at the spread he's got. Been very impressed with Luke so far in this match. Okay, there's a couple of mistakes at the start of the match when he was from 1-0 up, when he had opportunities to go a little bit further ahead that he didn't take. That's going to really annoy him if he doesn't manage to pull Chris back in this match. But considering where he is and who he's playing, he's really showcased himself very well.
Yeah, and we heard Dylan speak, didn't we, in that interview? We asked him, you know, he was having some long conversations with Luke while they were practicing in the practice room here at the Players' Lounge, and it was an interesting pairing to be having a conversation. You know, Dylan, 52 years of age, been at his prime, still winning tournaments, but has been at that level for such a long time. Luke just starting out. And it's interesting, Dylan's like, I don't need to give him any advice. He's an unbelievable player. The only thing I did tell him is keep an eye on that shot clock, but know that that 5 seconds when the beeps start going actually is plenty of time. You just need to be comfortable in that space. So far he has been.
I think that's the key, but get comfortable with that 5 seconds to know you've got that left.
Well, an impressive frame from Luke Gilbert. Some player, this fella.
Yeah, that's 3 finishes from the break for Luke to respond to 3 finishes on the break from Chris. 6 on the trot in the match between them, and it is excellent. The match really has ramped up.
I'm seeing a little word between the two as well, sharing a smile with one of the greats.
Key frame here, key break you feel with the way that Chris can break. If he makes a ball here, gives himself a chance to get 3 frames in front again, it's going to be very tough for Luke. But if Luke can find a way to get a chance in this frame, there is plenty of time.
Yeah, this is such a big frame. If Chris wins it, it's almost impossible to see him not winning the match. He'll be 1 away from home with a 3-frame advantage. If Luke can win it, goes back within 1, still with plenty of time left on the clock, this is the frame that you want to win for either of these players. Chris has made a ball, but he's left himself a pretty horrible little lie here. He's got his extension straight away, but it's not a huge amount of time.
Yeah, and I think the run of 6 straight finishes from the break are going to come to an end here. There is no finish on for Chris in this frame. He's going to chase one.
Oh, you've little face, Simon.
But this is, I mean, the 2 yellows at the top of the table, they've got no pocket. You've got the 8 ball and the yellow on the left-hand side. They need to be developed, and he's only got 2 balls left in the open. I suppose if this next shot comes out, he might develop a ball into a position where he can develop the next 2 from it, but that actually hasn't happened.
He's a little bit unlucky.
Yeah, I thought it would be a bit kinder than that, but it was still
to be glued to the one at the top rail and then for the other one to go safe. A little bit of a meze, or a masse rather. I'll tell you what, it's some effort.
It really is, but he hasn't. If he just flicks the other side of that yellow, he's got it to the top corner, but it's not on.
Even Chris Melling is going to say, yeah, that'll do it.
Eventually, he has to pull back.
It's a brilliant shot, isn't it? so few players who can do that. Who can even do the technique to be able to do a shot like that.
Yeah, very difficult indeed.
Now then, Luke Gilbert nails the double. You might have to nail a few more with where these reds are placed, but with Chris's yellows all in the open, doesn't really have much of a choice here. He sort of has to go for it. Might not be the worst tactic. As I mentioned, it's the swing frame this. This is such a big frame to win if you're Luke Gilbert.
Slightly surprised that Chris chose that moment to go for it. Okay, you know, he was going to lose the tactical battle, all things being equal, having only three yellows on the table to the lovely shot from Luke to the 7 reds. But by pushing the boat out and going for that double, he was going to open everything up for Luke. I guess that's the confidence he has in his ability to make those doubles, and he's just missed one.
Well, Luke Gilbert's got a great chance. He's got a great chance of going within 1 here. And he's got the next break. Chris Melling could be being taken to the wire here. 5.5 minutes left. Luke Gilbert here wants 2 more to go 1 away. Race to 8, remember. Or a race to 0 on the clock, whichever comes first. If Luke Gilbert wins this frame, the latter becomes eminently more likely. 1 away, Luke Gilbert. Game very much on. Are we about to see the shock of shocks?
Yeah, can Luke continue this? The form he's on the last 4 or 5 frames. Every time he's walked to the table, he's all but cleared up, other than that 1 safety shot. 3 finishes from the break. That brilliant clearance there after Chris opened things up. He is really taking it to Chris Melling here. If he can make a ball off his next break and get a nice big split like he did in his previous break, then we could be 6-6 very quickly indeed.
What did we say at the top of the show, though? Chris Melling will back himself against anyone in the world with a cue at a 6-red shootout.
6 frames to 5.
He might have to lean on it.
Yeah.
Needs a ball, Luke Gilbert. Needs a ball. Gets one. Good split 2. Hello.
What a break that is. That's his best break of the match, and he's hit some good ones.
Hello. Here we go.
Has he got an easy opening yellow? I think that red nearest the left centre pocket makes reds really difficult. Okay, the yellow on the left-hand side's not ideal either, but I think that's easier than the reds. Reds are easier to get into the visit. Which way does Luke see it?
Extension called immediately. Has he got this yellow to the top left? I think he does. Oh, can't miss it. Oh, that was such a chance. That was such a chance.
He's very unfortunate, to be honest. Okay, that's a pot he would have expected to make, but it was a difficult pot. He was under pressure there with that shot, and the break was such a good quality. He deserved to be easier on the yellow than he was.
And this is what you see with the top players. The likes of Chris Melling. I almost expect Chris to clear this 999 times out of 1,000. That's the expectation, because he knows how important this frame is. He knows what a dagger this would be to his opponent's chances.
Great champions just have that ability, don't they, to find the clearance when they really need it.
It's that killer instinct.
Yeah. Left himself a little bit straighter on that ball than he wanted to. Had to play that with an awful lot of reverse side. And
how has he got that cue ball there?
It's just to judge he's moved the cue ball a long way with a huge amount of side and land perfect. Brilliant stuff.
That is amazing. That's such a ridiculous shot. Let's say killer instinct. What a counter clearance. Just so good from Chris Melling. Never in doubt.
Extension call.
He's called his extension here. I think just to chew a little bit of clock, which did you expect that to happen in this match at the start of it?
Well, it's
a testament really to how well Luke Gilbert's done.
Well, he's about to go 7-5 up with 2.5 minutes left on the clock. and it's his break. So the fact that Chris Melling is taking it that seriously and killing the clock, I think just shows how much Luke Gilbert has put him under pressure in this match.
Yeah, huge amount of respect. Make no mistake, that's absolutely the right thing to do, objectively almost, is get an extension per frame. Why not use it? Use that little bit of extra clock, use it to put your opponent under pressure. The fact that Chris Melling feels the need to do it at this stage against Luke Gilbert, that is a feather in the cap of the young gun, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. And he's not out of this. We've seen turnarounds in shorter time, but what he absolutely needs, he needs a dry break from Chris Melling. And he may well need a dry break from Chris Melling, a very quick counter, a very quick reverse dish, and then maybe a golden break on his own. It would be, he's long odds, but if Chris makes a ball, it is over.
Yeah, I'd expect it to be Chris Melling, 1 from home, 2.5 minutes remaining. Well, there's your ball, Simon. There's a couple more. Very nearly made the 8-ball to end things with a flourish, but this split is pretty good. Well, you wouldn't think it, judging by Chris's face.
I think that's all to do with his first shot.
Extension call.
Doesn't like his first shot.
You could choose reds or yellows really here, but as you mentioned, that first shot isn't easy. Yellows is the easiest, I'd say. Or is it reds?
I think the easier shot to pot was the yellow, but I think the easier clearance is the reds.
He's been made to work very, very hard in this game. Harder than I think many others expected him to. And a lot of credit has to go to Luke Gilbert here. He's played really well. Wasn't here just to make up the numbers. We mentioned what an opportunity it was for him. Can't say he's done himself any harm here. Although Chris Melling might have just run aground in this clearance. Don't think it will affect him. Might just have to pull out the magic wand a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Good recovery. All in a day's work.
Just for a second there, it got Luke thinking he may get one more chance to do something incredibly special, but Chris recovered very well.
In the end, it's a great performance from Chris Melling. He's had to put it, though. He's had to put that out there because he's been pushed every inch of the way here by Luke Gilbert. Chris Melling gets it done. 8-5 the win.
Chris Melling.
And a lovely moment between two players there. Chris Melling over the line, just.
He was pushed all the way, he really was. That was brilliant from Luke. From about halfway through the match, neither player had made a finish from the break, and then all of a sudden they both burst into life, and Luke really took it to Chris. And Chris had to respond, and to be fair, Chris played his best stuff there at the end once he was really pushed by Luke. And there's such a fine line in this game, and all credit to Luke for performing that well, but congratulations to Chris for going through.
Yeah, terrific matchup there. Really, really enjoyed that one, and commiserations, as I say. So to Luke Gilbert, terrific performance, not the last of him, I dare say we'll see in the years to come. Chris Melling, though, makes tonight's final. He's got Dylan Leary for a place in the last 16. It all comes next.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Chairman, are you coming around, or do you want me to?
I need somebody to reposition the camera.
Chris, you've got your cues over the
Yes.
All right, Chris. Made you work hard for that, didn't he?
Yeah. Just missed a few early on, but he missed a few chances as well.
Ready when you are, Chris. Well, Chris, big congratulations. Just off the table, you got through to tonight's final. The last time you were on that table, you had Michael Hill in the final of the Champions League with some positive memories. That match was, it seems, almost more difficult in a weird way. He really made you work very hard, didn't he?
Yeah, I think obviously the expectancy is on me to win the game. Obviously the odds showed that, but I mean Luke's a brilliant player. You know, I've never seen him play before, but he was a world junior champion, world under 23 champion, and you don't win them titles unless you're a good player, and he's got a massive future ahead of him if he plays like that.
Yeah, I'm sure those words mean a lot to him as well at this stage of his career. This is a great competition for you. We've seen you on Free Sports in different tournaments over the last month. You've been very, very busy. Your form's looking great there. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
Well, I missed a few early on, but Luke didn't punish me. And it was weird because when I was playing, I was kind of thinking, well, that was me 20 years ago, you know, playing all the top players, and I was thinking, you know, he's well up for this, and he played well. But I took some chances in the middle of the match, which, you know, he gifted me really. But I felt all in all I played okay, just need to cut the silly errors out. I thought my break was a bit inconsistent. I was making balls and not making balls, and when you needed to make one, there was coming out a little bit funny. So just delighted to get through really against a tough opponent.
And Dylan, your opponent in the last 32 now tonight, big match. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously, you know, I've got to play well. I've got to up my game. Dylan played well in his match against Jon, so as long as I play well, then that's all that matters to me.
Best luck.
Cheers. Dylan played well in his match against Jon, so as long as I play well, then that's all that matters to me.
Of his career, this is a great.
In the game, obviously.
Chairman, you coming around, or do you want me to do that?
I need somebody to reposition the camera.
Chris, you've got your cues there.
Yes.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Well, welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters here on Free Sports. Monday night, Paul, back with us for a very long time to come as well. Myself and Simon still with you tonight, and we've just seen a fantastic match side between two great players, one at the very start of their career and one very much right at their peak in Chris Melling and Luke Gilbert. It started off a little bit slow from both players, I think that's fair to say, but it picked up into some fantastic ball towards the end.
Yeah, I think Chris made a few mistakes at the start that we didn't quite expect him to make, or we didn't see him make in the previous event that he won. But Luke had him early doors. Luke had a good chance there in the first. He won the first frame with a great counter clearance and had a great chance to win the next frame, which he didn't take. And I think that's going to really annoy him because he probably should have gone further ahead and found himself 4-1 behind. But from 4-1 behind, he's played almost a perfect match. He's played brilliantly. He's just missed that one pot to the top left corner, and it was a tricky pot as well. But he's really had to make one of the best players in the world play their best to get through. So, you know, credit to Luke. He's going to respond. He'll learn from that, and he's going to be certainly a star of the future. So look forward to seeing him play in future events.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's done himself absolutely no harm here tonight. It's so difficult, isn't it? And you've had this experience, Si, of a rookie coming into an established world of big players, of big names. It is difficult to be able to to stamp your name on it, and he did that tonight.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, it's harder to play your game when you know you're playing against a great player. It's one of the things that I always struggle with, is when you know the person you're playing against is a great player, you feel like you're under more pressure to play at that level or to play above yourself, which is just silly, really. You've just got to play your game, you've got to play to your own ability and forget about who you're playing. But it's just not easy to do that. But Luke was able to come in here and do that, and that's a really good sign for his career as it goes forward.
Yeah, I wish him the very best luck in the future. And we look ahead to our final, Dylan Leary against Chris Melling. What a matchup this is, Simon. It's two players who have performed really well tonight. Chris Melling, of course, really well in the last month or so. And really, really looking forward to this one. It's going to be a difficult game for both players. Dylan had a feeling, I think, going into this night, that if he were to beat Jon, he's likely to play Chris, but Chris is of the attitude, I think, where he doesn't really care who he plays. He's got that much faith in his own ability. He just focuses on himself. But a great match in prospect for the neutral here, and I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, it should be a cracking match. Both players have shown some great form tonight, so both players are running and queuing well. So really looking forward to seeing how this match goes. But obviously, the bookie's going to have Chris as favourite for the match. He was favourite before the night to win this group, and one of the big favourites for the tournament. And for me, I think what we're going to need to see from Dylan is he gets off to a good start and just keep Chris under pressure all the way through. See if he can get himself in front, very similar to how he played against Jon McAllister. Get his nose in front, and then just keep putting the pressure on.
Well, Dylan Leary has made a ball. He almost made the 8 ball here. Have a watch of this. This was a whisker away from being a golden break, I think, which would have been, well, the perfect start.
It's just the cue ball getting in the way. It sort of stopped as I was talking there. I thought, oh, here we go, golden break to start. That would be some start. But I think one of the things that Dylan was certainly worried about coming into tonight was his break, and he found a little bit of form with his break in the last match. A couple went against him, but a couple went for him. And so far, the first one in this match, excellent.
Well, the opening chance of tonight's final falls the way of lethal Dylan Leary.
Eight ball looks awkward, but if he can land right behind it, he'll drop it in the middle. It's that camera angle we're just looking at there. You can see it is an awkward ball to play on, but you get right behind it, you shouldn't miss it. And he has the perfect ball to be able to land right behind it. And one of the things we saw Dylan do so well in his match against Jon McAllister was to pick really good routes.
It's the one thing that will never stop improving for a pool player, is that experience, that level will just improve this sort of pattern play that we talk so much about. You never ever stop learning as a pool player, do you? Even, we've seen the likes of Luke Gilbert tonight, a 20-year-old at the start of his career. Jon McAllister, world champion at 25, now 26, and these two who are slightly more senior, 52 and 42 respectively, but even at this level, they'll never stop getting better at picking those patterns.
Yeah, and we saw with Michael Hill come in, he was saying in one of his interviews that it's, the top players pride themselves on their patterns. It's the pattern play that separates the great players or the good players from the great players.
Dylan Leary with a little tricky one, this delicate one into the middle pocket, never in doubt, and he goes 1-0 up. Great start from Dylan Leary. Chris Melling getting through then against Luke Gilbert. We did have a chance to catch up with the magician in the interval. Here's what he had to tell us. Chris, big congratulations, just off the table. You got through to tonight's final. The last time you were on that table, you had Michael Hill in the final of the Champions League with some positive memories. That match was, it seems, almost more difficult in a weird way. He really made you work very hard, didn't he?
Yeah, I think obviously the expectancy is on me to win the game. Obviously the odds showed that, but I mean, Luke's a brilliant player. I've
Chris, big congratulations, just off the table. You got through to tonight's final. the last time you were on that table, you had Michael Hill in the final of the Champions League with some positive memories. That match was, it seems, almost more difficult in a weird way. He really made you work very hard, didn't he?
Yeah, I think obviously the expectancy is on me to win the game. Obviously the odds showed that, but I mean, Luke's a brilliant player. You know, I've never seen him play before, but he was a World Junior champion, World Under-23 champion, and you don't win them titles unless you're a good player, and he's got a massive future ahead of him if he plays like that.
Yeah, I'm sure those words mean a lot to him as well at this stage of his career. This is a great competition for you. We've seen you on Free Sports in different tournaments over the last month. You've been very, very busy. Your form's looking great there. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
Well, I missed a few earlier on, but Luke didn't punish me. And it was weird because when I was playing, I was kind of thinking, well, that was me 20 years ago, you know, playing all the top players, and I was thinking, you know, he's well up for this, and he played well. But I took some chances in the middle of the match, which, you know, he gifted me really. But I felt all in all I played okay, just need to cut the silly errors out. I thought my break was a bit inconsistent. I was making balls and not making balls, and when you needed to make one, there was coming out a little bit funny. So just delighted to get through really against a tough opponent.
And Dylan, your opponent in the last 32 now tonight, big match. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously, you know, I've got to play well. I've got to up my game. Dylan played well in his match against Jon, so as long as I play well, then that's all that matters to me.
Best luck.
Cheers.
Well, you join us back. Chris Melling forced to play a safety from his own positional shot there. Didn't quite go right. We were watching that, obviously, with our microphones off, and your face, I screwed up immediately. It was so close to being perfect, wasn't it?
I thought he played the perfect shot for a second, and that yellow just bounced off the cushion, just that extra 2 inches, and left him nothing rather than a great chance to break and dish. But he's done the right thing, put Dylan into a snooker. I think the 2 yellows that are together, they will plant to the bottom left corner. It's just from where he wasn't able to do so. So it's actually a really difficult shot for Dylan to get this anywhere near safe. Hitting a red will be one thing, but leaving it safe is very, very difficult.
Just goes back, doesn't it, to I think something that Chris alluded to in his interview. Didn't sort of say it outright, but he sort of just hinted at it. There were some moments in that match against Luke where, I want to say this delicately, he didn't maybe play the correct shot, and he maybe took more chances than he would if he was maybe less of a favourite. As the match wore on, he realised that he got used to play the right way, play the right thing, do the right thing. I think he's very much sort of switched on to that now. He's playing the right shots. We saw him chase a couple of frames in that match against Luke where, you know, playing a snooker would have been a far better decision to make, and I don't think he's prepared to gamble with that in this match against Dylan.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some players will play the player and not play the table, depending on what they think the player's strengths and weaknesses or players' levels at. Sometimes, actually, I think it can go the other way, that if you're playing, you know, a great player, you might think that you need to take it on more and actually chase a finish, because you think if you get into a safety battle, that's a poor miss from Dylan. But
yeah.
Just to finish what I was saying, if you could end up in a safety battle that you think you might lose, and you'd rather, your best chance to win a frame might be to chase it. So, yeah, these are the sorts of things that the players need to take into consideration.
That's what I'm just sort of trying to get at, is as the night's sort of gone on, we've seen more and more of the match play from Chris Melling, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, we mentioned about it towards the end of that match where he took the extension to pot the 8-ball against Luke. That was the correct match play decision, and he's treating these matches as they sort of need to be treated. You get such a small margin of error against the level of these players. Can't afford to relax, can't afford to take it easy, can't afford to take chances, and Chris Melling squares things up against Dylan Leary, who is sat there, and I think it's very difficult to figure out how Dylan Leary's feeling. He's not happy with how he's given that frame away. It might not have won it necessarily with that pot on the red, but he's given that frame away. Can't do that against this man.
No, and it's one of those, though, I think it's a frame that you should just, if you're sat in your chair frustrated, you should just write it off. Just say, you know, it was a frame that you always looked like you were losing, you were going to lose. Okay, you were given half a chance there and you weren't able to take it, but, you know, get on with the next frame, you still 1-all.
Such a ridiculous record, isn't it?
Third frame.
Won everything there is to win.
Dylan Leary to break. 1 frame all.
And then gone and done it again. He is such a great player. One thing that's not mentioned on there, of course, is his Champions League win 4 weeks ago. Almost the day, I think, on Free Sports. Chris Melling in action against Michael Hill. And we talk about standards, by the way. I think as time allows us to process that match, we'll only sort of realise how good it was. It was a ridiculous match. It had everything. The standard was impeccable. The only thing it probably didn't have was sort of to the wall, to the last 10-second drama, which it might have had. But the standard in that match was a joke.
Yeah, and chatting to the guys afterwards, it was kind of almost they knew it was a good standard, but also that it was they didn't feel it was. It's only what they felt they do whenever they play. You know, they almost bring best out of each other, but also the fact that they expect to play at that level. So it's such a consistent rate. They were just playing pool at the level they can play at.
And also, they don't play each other a huge amount,
no.
do they? And that was the beauty of it. And for them two to meet again, I think I'm right in saying it would have to be in the final. It's Chris Melling in Q1, Michael Hill in Q4. That would be a potential matchup in the final. It can't come beforehand.
Yeah,
For them two to get there again, my goodness me, do they have to run the gauntlet?
Yeah, they may be two of the big favourites for this competition, but
I'd be hugely surprised. That's what you got to say. It would take something extraordinary to pick that out.
Chris has just run a roll too far. He wanted to leave an angle to develop these balls on the left-hand side, and you see he was still able to pop that thin, but he hasn't been able to develop the ball he wanted to develop, which is the one nearest the corner pocket.
As he's got a shot here, I think that yellow sneaks past the other to the right middle.
He doesn't have another yellow near his bad ball, though. It's very hard to get the cue ball going across there, and if you're trying to develop it, which you probably will have to, you have to land on it as well, because it's hard to land on another ball. He could potentially play for the cue ball at the bottom of the table and play a double on that ball. I think there's enough room. I'm not sure the red would be in the way for it.
Extension call.
But he'll be glad to have 45 seconds plus his extension to work this one out, because he's going to take some working out. He's looking to see if he can leave some sort of angle to go down into that area of the table. But there is traffic in the way. I think this is a fraction. Well, it's thin if he plays it into the centre pocket. Does it have the right angle if he plays it into the corner pocket? Looks a little straight, perhaps. Yeah, I think if he takes this to the centre, you can see him queuing up on the red. I think that's probably suggests he thinks the cue ball's going into the two reds if he plays this in a centre pocket.
Oh, it was nearly very, very clever.
I'm not sure if he can pop this or not. I think he might just be able to. Maybe play this with some side and just turn it in. Maybe it's so difficult to tell.
Well, if anyone can.
Well, he could. He didn't even need side. It just went. That was a great shot from Chris Melling to use the two reds in the middle of the table to open them up. That's incredible.
It's such a shame because it was such a good shot, and we had no appreciation of it until we saw that one camera angle. It still looked like it didn't go from what we're looking at. That's unbelievable from Chris Melling. Absolutely brilliant. So good. 2-1. Brilliant.
One of the shots of the night, without doubt. One of the shots of the competition so far.
Wowee. So good, that. Really is. Here's Dylan Leary. He's the European champion in 2019 on the World Rules side of the game. Also winning the UK Premier League in World Rules in 2018. some competition there. Top 10 players, I think it was, from that code of the game. And then won the All-Ireland Championship as well in 2019. A really good player, Dylan Leary. Hasn't always had the chance to showcase it on these screens. He had a horrific draw in the Champions League in the group of death.
Break, leading 2 frames to 1.
Couldn't quite emerge out of that. And he's got a tough draw tonight. If he is to go through, he'll have had to put out golden break, golden break, golden break, golden break. No! Oh, it would have been a golden duck as well.
Behind the break line. Time
He's so close to losing the frame. I was watching the 8 ball all the way to the point where it needed Simon Webb to my left to get his big right arm out and point in that top right pocket.
He's actually really unlucky because he parks the white right in the centre of the table. It gets kicked into the corner, and then it doesn't quite drop, and you think, oh, that was, you know, he's got away with it, and then it gets kicked in again.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do there, is there, Chris Melling?
No, he hit a perfect break. There's nothing you can do. That happens. There is a huge amount of skill in the break, but there's also some luck, and sometimes they'll go against you.
Chance for Dylan then. It's not an easy one considering the table he was handed. What with Chris nailing about 5 balls in off the break and then key ball in hand, it wasn't actually that simple a clearance. But he's done a pretty good job so far. Yellows would have been an ideal colour set without the 8 ball blocking the pocket. They're all grouped over. So a couple of. Well, this is the shot, isn't it? This red down the rail. If you can nail this, be on for the next one, then the 8 ball's a roll, and you can probably play it with the butt of the cue if you wanted to. This is the shot.
Played it lovely. Perfect all the way through this visit. Just has to avoid finishing behind a yellow. Plenty of room, just got to decide which way he wants to play it. I don't think he'll play it with the butt of the cue, but he could if he wanted to.
that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Easy as that. 2-2. Well, not too many mistakes so far. Not too many mistakes so far. Both players all square with 33 minutes and 40 seconds still to play. No one's blinked just yet. Simon, this could be close. Might well go all the way, this one, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it could be tight all the way through, as you say. I think a lot will come down to the breaks. You feel like the break's going to favour Chris. I know we're saying that on the back of that big foul break, but he actually hit that break so well. And the way he finished off the last match, his break was very good. He had a couple that dry, as he referenced in his interview, but we've seen with Dylan, his break's been a lot more hit and miss. So it's just one of those things at this stage, it's very even, but if what you don't want from Dylan's side of the table is giving more opportunities to Chris Melling than you're getting yourself.
It's another good break from Dylan. He's done all right so far in that front. It's the one thing which you feel is volatile enough to really let him down in this match is his break. Just needs to be solid. Keep giving himself chances, and that's all he needs. An open table tonight. Hasn't been anyone better. He's looked excellent.
Good first shot as well. Bad ball now developed. Every ball now actually has a pocket. Now it's all about picking his route, and as you say, that's what he's done very well tonight. Just trying to work out how and when he wants to go for the yellow nearest the left centre pocket. And the reason he's giving that so much attention is that to land on that ball, you're going to be land with an angle where you're going into the reds. You can't land on an angle to avoid that. So he's trying to work out when he does it and how he does it. Looks like he's played on it straight away.
Has he gone roll too far? That's a really difficult one to judge. He may well have done. He's got the plan B, of course, in the bottom right. If he cuts this back in, he's almost certainly going into that red on the side cushion, which could really mess up the bottom half of the table for him.
Yeah, the worst thing is if he hits it full and he ends up behind one of those two reds, he'll be on nothing. So perhaps he'll look to get on this ball a little bit better so that he can control his cannon into that red a little bit more.
He's a little bit unlucky because, as I say, he's had to play that white ball a huge way back and forth across the table. It was almost judged to absolute perfection.
Oh, he is going to play it. This isn't guaranteed to come out nicely. Needs the red to get out of the way. It might have done. I think one of the balls goes. I'm not sure about the other.
Yeah, I think the bottom yellow, furthest to the left at the bottom of the table, that will pass the red just. Might have to play off it, which wouldn't actually be the end of the world. Clear that pocket away. A long time to line that up, did Dylan. He's also got the yellow to the right centre. Yeah, that's the one he's looking at. Might be able to pop this red with a combination, maybe. Didn't have the angle for that and overcut the pot. Well, Dylan Leary runs aground in frame 5. First real mistake we've seen an open table from him.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if he could have his time back, whether he would still try and play the same shot on that ball to the left centre pocket or try and get a better position on it.
I think he'd almost certainly change his mind now.
He would, yeah, he would now. It's just the way it came out, it was awkward. Whereas if he lands an inch short of where he did, he would be able to play the shot with so much more control. That red would not be going in the way, causing all the problems. And you know, he gave it plenty of thought, but wasn't able to solve it.
Yeah, he had a dodgy moment, didn't he, earlier on in this match when he gave the frame away against Chris with a missing of a pot at the top right of the table. But once he's been in and amongst it and on a break, on a finish, he hasn't looked like missing anything all night, really.
Very few mistakes, few missed pots, isn't it? There was more missed pots in the match between Chris and Luke. Both Dylan and Jon missed next to nothing in their match. As expected, Chris has worked his way through this finish with no real problems once they're opened up the way they were. Well, Chris has just spotted something on the cue ball, so he's going to get that clean first.
Easy as that from Chris Melling. Beautifully done from the Magician, who squares things up ahead of time. This is the Q1 draw. This is where we're at currently. Both of these two are looking to face up against Jordan Shepherd in the last 16, and whoever ends up in that match, what a match in prospect that is, by the way. And then we go into Group 3. Phil Harrison, Greg Button, Mark Farnsworth, Tom Price. Oh, what a group. And that's not mentioning the obvious there in Group 4. We talked about this at the top of the show. Our wild card. Darren Appleton sadly withdrew from the competition. Sad to see Darren Lee, was looking forward to seeing him play. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have a replacement. We're not telling you who it is. We want to get the rumour mill going. This wild card is sensational. This player is truly truly an unbelievable get for the competition. We can't wait for week 4 to see them play against Rob Chilton. Cannot wait.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing it being announced and seeing the reaction. Also mentioned earlier on that I'm open to bribes because I do know who it is, and if you want to, so far I've been offered a custard donut,
which, ladies and gents, was worryingly close to accepting. You've done less for custard. But yeah, an incredible lineup now in week 4. I think the plan is to reveal that in the coming days. So keep your eyes peeled across social media. The handles you need are at the bottom of your screen right now. You're going to want to keep an eye on them.
Chris tried to develop his bad ball there and just hasn't come out, so needs another good angle.
He's taking nothing to chances, Chris Melling. He's such a competitor. In a way, you sometimes forget it with how wonderfully free-flowing he is as a player and the style with which he plays, but at his heart, he is a born competitor, a born winner. And this is such a volatile format. There's so many good players. It is so easy to get beat in this competition. He'll want to go all the way. He almost feels like he's got a title to defend in this format.
And there's, good prize money out there as well, which is, is absolutely is what they're out there for. And he is a big-time champion.
Yeah, 10k to the winner. Further 10 grand in prize money as well to those players who don't quite manage to lift the trophy at the end. It is good money in this competition.
Second try at developing the ball now. Oh, got into it too much. We talked about it before. This is a very responsive table, and Chris has been on there plenty, but even then he still managed to get into that one too much.
He was chatting to me about it, about the cushions and about the table. He mentioned it's just so tough to get a grip of it. He's almost playing a little bit scared with his cue ball because of how quick it is. Because for someone with his cue action, he gets such easy movement on the white ball all the time. Better to do anything. But he's just having to play super safe, and I think it's playing on his mind a little bit now. What can he make happen?
Just a safety, I think. Yeah, it's clever actually. I was thinking he wants to develop his ball to give himself a chance, but also developing his ball was going to develop the red as well. So at least he's developed the red into a way where it's as hard as it could be. So he's put it onto the cushion in an awkward position. Okay, it does go down the cushion to the bottom right-hand corner. Not sure if Dylan wants the clearance here. He may be looking at another safety shot. Had the option to put one of the reds at the top of the table. Decided against it. Hasn't got the snooker. He's just stopped Chris having anything to go at, really. But he has left himself we can see the yellow full ball.
Yeah, I don't think it doubles because of where the 8 ball is. But can he make something happen? He's lining up something. I think it's close.
He's always got something, hasn't he? He's always got something. If that doubles, then, and it looks tight on this overhead, then that's a surprising choice of shot from Dylan. He must have assumed this doesn't double.
It does. Wow. What a shot from Chris Melling.
It's a great shot from Chris Melling, but that's a big mental error from Dylan Leary. That really is. He's left the cue ball exactly where he wanted to, and he's left him on the double. Okay, Dylan must have just thought that didn't go.
Yeah, no other explanation for it. Chris Melling goes 4-2 up. Fantastic stuff from the Magician, who pulls one out of the hat once again. A fantastic victory with a brilliant shot. This match will continue in the break. We'll be back in a few moments' time with the conclusion of this last 32 match between Dylan Leary and Chris Melling. Don't go anywhere.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Masters. We have continued through the break, and all we've missed is a bit of a tactical battle, a dry break from Dylan Leary. Chris had first opportunity but wasn't able to make the most of it, and we're into a tactical battle, so you've missed very little. Chris leaving Dylan with very little to go at. A couple of options to the top left-hand corner, which aren't very inviting. But may tempt him. If he can drop one in, then it would leave him on the yellow to the opposite centre pocket. That might have an angle to come down the table. The problem Chris has is that red at the bottom is so far away from any of his other balls that it's going to be very difficult to develop. It's not in the worst place for a double. Dylan's decided not to take it on this occasion. Actually, he's played a brilliant shot.
Yeah, you couldn't really leave a better white ball if you're Dylan Leary there, could you? He couldn't have picked that ball up with his hand and placed it in a more difficult position.
Yeah, and he was playing for that area of the table, but to get it that perfect was, absolutely exceptional, really.
Extension call.
Yeah, I bet you've called your extension, Chris Melling. This is tough. It's a tough hit. It's even tougher to get it safe.
And he has to hit a cushion after contact. Being snookered, in other rule sets, if you're snookered, you just have to hit your ball, so it doesn't matter if you hit a cushion afterwards. But in international 8-ball rules, you do, and that makes a difference here because Chris can't just come off 2 cushions and rest up behind this red, which he may well have looked to do in different rule sets. In this rule set, he has to hit a cushion after contact, so it makes a difference here. And he's managed to do so. Has left a yellow onto the centre pocket, I think. So will Dylan be tempted this time? Problem Dylan had when he played that safety shot previously, he's moved the yellow nearest the right centre pocket further up the table, and that was his big ball to be able to develop the yellow at the bottom. It's now in a much worse position, so there's a much less inviting chance this time for Dylan.
Oh, this is all getting a little bit tight, isn't it? Not long left in this match. 15:42 on the clock. Chris Melling is 2 frames in front. And it's a position he'll want to be in, of course, but what strengthens his hand, as it were, is a 15-second shot clock. Doesn't really bother him, which helps. He just tries to play a combination shot there to pot the yellow and clear away that middle pocket. But in the same way, he's sort of done that anyway, but I think he's going to force Dylan here into aggression. There's a yellow in the middle pocket that goes, and Dylan does have an option in a couple of ways to break into the red and the yellow that he's up against right now. That's his big problem area now. The other 4 out in the open.
Doesn't want that red to stay over the pocket, and it has.
Oh, that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Not for the first time in this match that's happened to Dylan.
That is a real pain in Dylan Leary's backside, that red going over that corner pocket.
Gives him 2 problems to solve rather than 1, and the first one was hard enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Second one's easier to solve. You can play a skill shot on it, and there's more room to land on it, but you don't want to be having to solve more and more problems.
Looks like skill shot's the choice. Couldn't quite make it. Oh, and to add insult to the injury.
Foul.
He's gone in off. Well.
Anywhere on the table? Time running.
To fully clarify, this wasn't a foul initially until the white went in. Fully entitled to pot your opponent's ball as long as you play a legal shot in doing so. But to go in off is the foul, and it's given Chris a great chance. He's going to play a safety here, and that's quite clever. It was really difficult to develop that red if you're Chris Melling. This is pretty much the only way you can do it, and you can do it whilst laying a really tough snooker. One thing you would say for Dylan, though, is if he can make a one-cushion escape onto that yellow at the top left of the table, he'll go close to potting it.
Yeah, he will, but that was the right choice for Chris.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, normally you'd be looking for an angle on a ball, because you get to place a cue ball when you're on the table, so you can pick the angle you need, but there wasn't a good ball to do it on. So you can place the cue ball where he did, make sure the yellow hits the cushion, and now that red is now open. And now Chris has earned himself an opportunity from it.
To win the frame and to go 3 up as well at this juncture, with only 13 minutes remaining. He'll be in such a good position.
It's not easy, this is still a tricky layout, but there is room to get onto every ball and to make every pot. If he's really straight on this red, there's not a lot he can do. He may roll through for the one at the bottom of the table, and then one good pot to get himself onto the one at the top, and it just needs nice cue ball control and a couple of really good pots down the rail, and the job will be done. But Chris will be
so easy.
Yeah, but Chris will be happy to have the option.
Yeah, absolutely. You bet you he will. I think a 3-frame lead at this stage, it's not quite decisive, but it almost is.
Yeah, we've seen turnarounds. It feels like this. We're at the back end of the match because we're coming into the last 10 minutes. But we've seen turnarounds playing in the, in previous events. Matches turn around in the final 10 minutes. And we've seen,
yeah, you're not wrong.
We've seen a guy. Sean Story won a set 5-4 from 4-1 down with 8 minutes to go. So we know it's possible.
Yeah, that we do, and it always keeps us coming back, doesn't it? It keeps us interested. It's the beauty of this format. It's never over until it's over. Chris here, tough shot down the rail. If you can do it, he's 3 frames in front. Beautifully done. Even killed the white on the way through. It was a beautifully executed shot, that. 5-2, Chris Melling. He's almost there, isn't he?
Yeah, perhaps not the fireworks that we always expect with Chris Melling. Not had the big finishes from the break in this match, but it's just the way the match has gone. He's had to scrap hard for his opportunities, and he really has done very well to get himself 5-2 in front in this match, and he is all but there. He just needs to put the finishing touches to this one. I don't think he's going to get to 8. It's going to be the match clock running down, but he won't mind as long as he gets over the line.
Yeah, I think in this competition, of all the competitions, you just take the win. It is so tough out there to get a win in the first place. You can't afford to get picky.
Frame number 8, Chris Melling to break, leading 5 frames to 2.
5-2 up then, as the 15-second shot clock about to be introduced. Oh, well.
Foul.
What a break to do that on.
Ball in hand behind the break line.
In a really rare event, that's total user error as well.
Yeah, you can see, look at the queuing, look at the way his, the cue, you can see just where the cue ended up, then the cue ball straight into centre pocket. It's one of the worst breaks in terms of queuing that I've ever seen Chris hit.
Yellow ball's in play.
And Dylan has to play quickly for a number of reasons. Number 1 being its 15-second shot clock. Number 2 being he's 3 frames down with 9.5 minutes to go. But if it is to start the comeback, I just get the feeling that realistically it needs to start now.
And it should start now as well.
Yeah, no excuses at this stage, right?
Yeah. It looks a little bit congested, a little bit tricky, but they've all got a pocket. Every ball has. It's just about picking that route, as we always talk about. And yeah, these are there for him. That's a little bit short if he was playing for the one in the centre pocket. Could still take the one to the top left. Well, he's going in the centre pocket. He's controlled that reasonably well. Has a couple of options which way he could go, but the one to the top right Gives him natural position for one in the centre pocket. The one to the top left was a little bit thinner.
And, you know, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself here, but Dylan Leary can take these out. He's got the next break. This scoreboard could look very different in a few minutes' time.
Extension call.
He's a little bit thinner on this than is perfect. He can't roll through for the yellow in the top left corner, and screwing it back for the yellow in the same pocket may leave himself a little bit thin. May leave himself a bit thin, and he has. Good news for him is there is loads of room around that 8 ball. Just has to make sure he doesn't land behind a red.
He's okay, but yeah, I think you were about to say not perfect, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It just didn't. His last 2 positional shots just got away from him, but he still has this chance.
Oh, shot. In those circumstances, shot clock ticking. It's a money pot from Dylan Leary. Huge shot. Really need that, Dylan Leary, and he's got it. 7.5 minutes to go. 2 frames in it. I think that's the operative word, hope.
He does need a big break now, though. He had a break dish in his first frame in this match. He needs to find another break like that and give himself the next opportunity again. He's had too many dry breaks for his liking.
Needs a ball. Is he going to get one? No. Chris Melling here with a big opportunity. This is a crucial frame to win for either player. He talked about how big it was for Dylan, put him within 1 with still plenty of time to go. But Chris Melling can extend this back out to 3.
Red ball's in play.
All of a sudden it doesn't look like much to go.
Yeah, and look at that layout on reds. It just couldn't be better for him, really. It was just all in the open. Oh, he's going to get caught out by the clock.
Call.
Still just about at his extension. little grin from Chris Melling.
I think he forgot for a second. He looked up at the clock, and all of a sudden you see him run around the table.
I enjoyed that. Just settle himself back down now and get to business.
Just no problems with this layout at all. They just laid out perfectly for him. I think when Dylan walked away, he would have just hung his head because he kind of knew what was coming.
Yeah, I totally agree. You just sometimes know, don't you, with a certain calibre of player that there really is just no optimism whatsoever to be found. So Chris Melling restores that 3-frame advantage. 5.5 to go. He's 2 away from home. Dylan Leary 3 away from forcing, at best at this stage, a 6-red shootout. Looks a long way back at this stage for Lethal Leary. And there's a couple of missed pots. There's a couple of fouls especially might just prey on his mind.
Yeah, it's not been, Chris Melling at his absolute best. Look at that, just the 2 reverse dishes in his 6 frames won. But he has made very few mistakes within the match. He's had to match play a few frames there and earn opportunities. And you look at where the mistakes have come from in this match, and it's been from Dylan Leary's side of the table.
Yeah, if buts and maybes and all that, but if Chris Melling doesn't go in off a couple of breaks, this match might look very different. As it is, Jon Leary stays alive, and as it is, Chris Melling doesn't make a ball. But he's left a fairly horrible lie actually here. Jon Leary does not have a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah, Chris looks at the table and then looks at the clock because he's happy to see it be quite messy. With 5 minutes left on the clock, he's happy for it to run down and this to be another tactical frame. Dylan's got 2 problem reds, but they're so far away from the rest of his reds. To get an angle to go into them is very difficult.
Extension called.
Yeah, this is tough, isn't it? And he knows it as well. So much so that the safety's played. You can't blame him. It really is a nightmare layout.
Yeah, and he's not rushed it. He's at least left Chris nothing to go out as well.
Extension call.
3 frames is a lot, but the one thing you have to do is win this frame, even if that only leaves a minute on the clock and you need a golden break and some things to go your way, but there's no point throwing it away.
Nothing to go at, you say?
Well, I thought he had nothing to go at, and it was a lovely little 2-way shot as well, just nudging that red away from the pocket as well. Had he missed it, it was still, he was making things even messier.
Oh, what a shot!
Shows you the confidence that Chris Melling plays with. We'd be talking, if he misses that and it wasn't a guaranteed pot, we'd be talking about, oh, he's opened everything up unnecessarily, but backs himself to make those shots. Now that he's made it, he's given himself a chance.
He's got a little bit of work to do still with the yellows at the bottom of the table, mind.
He's just run too far. I actually thought, going by body language, he might have just landed on it, but he's obviously hasn't.
Oh, well.
Foul.
Well. Tried to force it.
Ball in hand, anywhere on the table. Time running.
Wasn't too far away from forcing it, but didn't want to do that. Jon Leary just has to clear these. Back within 2. At this stage, 3 minutes left, needing snookers.
Yes, but he's going to mop these up, leave 2 minutes on the clock. It's his break. You just never know.
Oh, no, you don't. That's the thing.
Not quite the positional shot he wanted to play. I think he was playing for this in the centre, but it's straight to the corner. It's absolutely fine. He's mopped these up lovely as expected. Perfect all the way through.
Frame.
All right, 159, 158 on the watch. Still in this last 32 match. Jon Leary hanging in there. But at this point, it is by a thread. Needs a miracle, does Jon Leary at this stage. 2 frames in less than 2 minutes. One thing he would say is he's got the 8 ball in the move a lot from his breaks consistently. A little bit of luck there, and all of a sudden he might be back within 1 with a little bit of time on the clock. But he's got the feeling that's what he needs at this stage.
You feel he needs a golden break or a golden duck, and he's much more likely to get a golden duck, a golden break off his break than a golden duck from Chris Melling's break.
What can he do? Hey, boys, on the move. It was just tracking, wasn't it? Just needed a little push. It's a great break, minds. The sad thing for Jon Leary there is it's almost said in his body language. He knows that's probably it, but it's probably the best break he's hit in the match. He's hit that beautifully, good spread. Oh, and of course, therefore, the mistake comes in, and that is, I think, just purely a mental error. He's just switched off a bit there. Knows the gig is up.
Yeah, I think the slumped shoulders are probably thinking where was that Where was this break? 2 breaks ago when he broke dry, and once he got it back to 5-3, he breaks dry and it's 6-3 instead of 5-4. With a reverse dish from Chris. So his break's been very hit and miss tonight, but then so's Chris as well, especially in this match.
Yeah, agreed. Not been at its best tonight, Chris Melling, which is feels like such a harsh thing to say because he's still shown us some fantastic ball. But he hasn't been at his very, very best. We saw that on this table a month ago in the final against Michael Hill, the Champions League. Left-handed shot just for good measure. Why not? He's left himself short though on his left hand. He's got a cushion escape here. Judges that line pretty well. Doesn't quite get it right though.
Ball in hand, and around the table. Time running.
That will just about do it for Chris Melling, who has made his way through. He had a difficult first round match against Luke Gilbert, who pushed him all the way. Dylan Leary has not made it easy by any chalk. And Chris Melling has made it. He advances through to the last 16 and sets up a match in 15, 16 weeks' time, which he will not want to miss. Chris Melling versus Jordan Shepherd is your first last 16 match on the slate. Yes, please.
That is some matchup, isn't it? And we're going to see plenty of matches like that in the last 16, but wow, what a first last 16 match we've got. But as you said, it wasn't the greatest performance that we've ever seen from Chris, but he was so solid all the way through. When he had to, he pulled out a great finish. You could see, looking at the stats here, his break wasn't quite on, but he was able to grind it out. He made less mistakes than Dylan did, and he was able to punish mistakes when they came along. So it wasn't quite the style we've seen from Chris, but he was still very good.
Yeah, and we'll hear from the magician when we come back. He's booked his place in the last 16.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.
Very well, welcome back to the Masters here on Free Sports. That's currently seen inside the venue here in Newcastle under Lyme, because I'm standing by to talk to the man who's made it through tonight. Chris, a big congratulations. 2 very tricky wins for you. Both games had their own challenges. How pleased are you, first of all, to get through tonight?
Yeah, obviously delighted to get through. My main aim when I came here was to qualify, and I wouldn't be in the tournament if I didn't think I could win it. But I had 2 tricky opponents, obviously. The first match wasn't easy. I didn't know what to expect. I knew he was a good player, but he missed a few chances, and obviously I took some of mine. I didn't play brilliant, but I did enough to win, which was the main thing. And then obviously playing Dylan there, I thought it was a good match. I thought I played really well, to be honest. A couple of breaks where I thought I was a bit unlucky, but all in all, yeah, I'm delighted.
It's such a stacked competition. The lineup every week has someone in it and you think, they might go on a bit of a run. Is it just nice now to be able to put your feet up and just think, right, I've done my bit, I know I can just enjoy this now for the next few months?
Well, it's a race to 8, and obviously, the shot clock's involved, so a lot of the top players like to take the time, like your Micks, your Phils, people like that. They like to, think about what they're doing, and when it comes to 15 seconds, it's really difficult, and I'm probably one of the fastest that's probably played, And
yeah, when you're saying it, that's when you know it's hard.
And I'm finding it difficult. It just makes you think differently. And until you've been out there, it's very hard to explain, how it affects you, really.
Well, expect the unexpected, hey. But congratulations on making it through, and we look forward to seeing your last 16 match with Jordan Shepherd. That should be something of a good one. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've played Jordan quite a few times, and it swings and roundabouts between me and him. But great player, great potter, good for TV, and he's not a bad player either.
He's all right. We'll catch you then. Simon, it's back to you. We've got a cracking draw lined up here in the Ultimate Pool Masters. Round 1 has been so good to us already, and it's just set to be even better and bigger than it already has been, Si.
Yeah, we got a fantastic lineup all the way through this event, but that last 16 matches, you said, it will be Jordan Shepherd versus Chris Melling. And then next week we'll go into Group 3, where we'll see Phil Harrison take on Greg Batten, and then Mark Farnsworth versus Tom Price. What a group that's going to be. Phil Harrison, one of the greats of the game at the moment, as is Mark Farnsworth, but they're not going to have it all their own way, because Greg Batten's a fantastic player, as is Tom Price.
Yeah, he certainly is, and it's just such a great lineup, isn't it? And then we go into Group 4, where we've got Rob Chilton, Cole Morris, former world champion, up against the young gun Gio Edgar, and then the wild card. Guesses in, please. You can see the social media handles have been on display all night long. We'd love to hear your guesses. Don't think anyone's got it too right yet. This is a really special moment. Looking forward to that in a fortnight's time. Cannot wait for that. Wildcard versus Rob Chilton coming up in a couple of weeks. Well, it's been a brilliant night here on Free Sports. We've absolutely loved having you. And we'll see you back here on this table, same time next week for another lineup. Mark Farnsworth in action, Phil Harris in action. Me and Si will see you then.
This program is brought to you by Apply Mortgages.